5 o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and today is the last day of summer. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. New developments in Nashville. The case of a dog shot and killed at a popular park. That case may not be over. At first, police said there would be no charges against a man who says he shot and killed an off-leash German Shepherd because it came at him aggressively. News 2 retrieved some of the 911 calls, and this is the shooter calling it in to 911.
It's horrible. I shot somebody's German Shepherd. They got too close. They didn't have it on a leash. I didn't know they had it on a shot collar. I had to shoot somebody's dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what the right thing is to do but to call it in.
Well, the dog's owner admitted his pet was not on a leash, which is against park rules. But News 2 says yesterday, members of the Davidson County District Attorney's Office toured the area of the park alongside police. They were asking officers questions. News 2 says officials tell them this case is still open. Later today in our nation's capital, President Biden and Vice President Harris will introduce the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And Harris is going to be the boss. A senior administration official asserted that this is not just more of the same. This mandate we have from the president is to do more. Government spending showdown that could lead to a shutdown update. House Speaker McCarthy, clearly frustrated, says some far-right members of his party apparently want to, quote, burn the whole place down. Roughly half a dozen House Republicans refusing to agree to new spending measures, and they're demanding more cuts.
I don't understand why anybody votes against bringing the idea and having the debate. This is a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down. That doesn't work.
McCarthy lost a routine vote yesterday that would have triggered debate on a defense spending bill, which usually sails through the House. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett on the government spending showdown live at 6:35 on WTN's Nashville's Morning News this morning. The United Auto Workers Union strike could expand today. The UAW local in Chicago and its more than 5,000 members are ready.
You guys are leading the movement right now, and it is inspiring, and it is so motivating, man, when I see a union member being interviewed either in Toledo or Detroit or wherever. Whoa, yeah, right? It is inspiring.
UAW giving GM, Ford, and Stellantis until noon today to meet their demands, or more workers will walk. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
Stocks tumbled on worries about interest rates for the foreseeable future. The Dow plunged 370 points. The Nasdaq gave up 245, and the S&P fell 72. Investors are reacting to news that the Federal Reserve may cut interest rates next year by just half of what it earlier predicted. And that means rates could stay high well into next year as the central bank continues to try to slow inflation, bringing it to the 2% target rate. High rates slow the economy. This spring, they contributed to the collapses of 3 high-profile U.S. banks, but so far they haven't affected the job market that much. But there are signs that that could be changing. John Deere is announcing it'll lay off more than 200 workers at its plant in East Moline, Illinois next month, and that there could be more job cuts to follow. And of course, this is on top of an increasing number of layoffs at the big 3 automakers, with the UAW strike in its second week.
All right, checking futures ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street this morning. Looks like the Dow is up 41, S&P up 12, NASDAQ up 74. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
5:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Dan Mandis here indeed, along with Ken Weaver. Johnny B out today. Mason Fleming actually decided to show up. Thank you, Mason, for showing up today for a Friday.
I'm trying.
The clown show that is Washington, D.C. By the way, Tim Burchett will be joining us, Congressman Tim Burchett, joining us at 6:35 to talk about everything from Ukraine funding to a possible shutdown to the border. Matt Gaetz is basically giving Kevin McCarthy one more chance before he clearly is going to file a motion to vacate. It is just such a clown show. You hear what Biden did last night? I'm going to get into all of this straight ahead because there is a lot of news. Mason needs some audio if we could. Joe Biden steering into the train wreck, now embracing the open border. This is what he said yesterday during his speech.
We put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way. Second, we're significantly expanding legal pathways for entry so businesses can get the workers they need. Families don't have to wait for a decade to be together.
Okay.
I've also directed my team to make a historic increase in the number of refugees admitted from Latin America. People fleeing violence and persecution who simply want their kids to have a better life. Next week, my team will consult with Congress on this plan. Third, we're supporting states and cities that have seen a surge in immigrants. We've developed federal experts and deployed them to help train city workers.
So now what has happened is the president, after, 2.5 years where the Biden administration has been ignoring the problems on the southern border, simply allowing people to come in. We all know that, this is something that the Democrats are embracing because, as I've been mentioning many times now, this is all simply put a way to import another voting bloc. So now the president is basically saying, yeah, you know what? We are going to embrace all of these migrants coming into the country. And so when he says that he is putting in policies that will allow us to process people even faster and more efficiently, well, that's exactly what we talked about yesterday, where they're sending, 800 members of, I guess it's our military down to the southern border, not to protect the border, but to process all of these people coming in. And so now this really does, as people are saying on social media, this is like a government-sponsored invasion of our southern border. And by the way, when the president says that he is putting in policies that will process people in a, quote, fair and equitable way, what that actually means is they're not going to be vetting anybody. You really think that these folks coming in are going to be vetted? All these 470,000 people from Venezuela, you think they've been vetted? Of course not. He says that he wants even more refugees from Latin America. He also says in that soundbite there, as he mumbled his way through, he also wants to send experts, he says, to help these Democrat-run sanctuary cities and to help them cope with all of this. Now, I don't necessarily believe that that's going to be the case. They did that with New York. And basically, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, says that was absolutely no help whatsoever. So the president and the Biden administration, and yes, the clown show that is Washington, D.C., and specifically the Democrat Party. And by the way, we've got our own clowns on the Republican side, as everyone knows. But now what's happening is Biden is embracing, I always say, and it certainly applies on this show, embrace the train wreck. Well, that is what Joe Biden is now doing. By doing what he is doing, which is saying that he is, offering this temporary legal status to all of these 470,000 migrants from Venezuela, or all of these folks, sending them down to the southern border to speed up the processing of these migrants. What the president is basically doing is steering into the train wreck, and he's taking ownership. That's what he's doing. He is taking ownership. He knows that the American people are frustrated. And so now part of what the Democrats are trying to do, as Biden is doing what he's doing, is they're also going to try to, and I've got the audio here, they're trying to somehow blame Republicans. Shocking, I know. So you've got all of these migrant crisis centers that are, overrun and way overcrowded. I mean, it is awful. And you've got these organizations that are now trying to do what they can to help these folks, but there just isn't any room. This is a story from CBS, and they're profiling what is going on in El Paso, Texas.
You are at a crisis level here.
I would say yes.
John Martin is deputy director of the shelter in El Paso. He says the inflow of migrants has been increasing for weeks.
All of the downtown shelters are all working over capacity. We simply don't want to say no.
Yeah, I mean, they do talk about how Biden is now giving all of this temporary legal status to the 470,000 migrants, and this will make it easier, they say, for them to get work permits. And what's happening is the more that we see these things play out, the more migrants come. The speech Biden gave yesterday that I just played for you, that audio, that is going to ricochet all across the world that, okay, so now it is, I mean, it has been official, but it is even more official now that the borders are wide open. This is going to cause an even bigger stampede, as you know. This headline from the New York Post: cartels sending migrant mobs to overwhelm the U.S. border. Drug cartels, I'm just going to whittle all of this down for you, friends. The drug cartels are using Biden's words, an open border, to deliberately send thousands of migrants a day to hand themselves over to Border Patrol to overwhelm the Border Patrol and distract the Border Patrol so that they can smuggle more drugs and traffic more humans into America. That's what's going on. Yet no word from the Biden administration or Karine Jean-Pierre on how they're going to deal with all of that. By the way, one of the more humorous audio bites from Karine Jean-Pierre is coming up next on Nashville's Morning News. It is 5:15. Happy Friday, Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Jack. Nice and sunny today, heading into the weekend with a high of 85, a low of 58 for this Friday. Saturday and Sunday, the sun. Mason, what the hell does this say?
I don't know.
So
Can you tell I've been out of the loop for a little bit?
Ken, you'll love this. A little behind the scenes. Mason writes the weather, and Johnny does too. Mason is supposed to write the weather for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what this means. What's the weather going to be this weekend, Mason?
It's going to be sunny. It's going to be nice and warm. It's going to be like mid-80s all weekend, nice and sunny. I ain't complaining.
Saturday and Sunday are carrying that sun all the way through as well, staying in the mid-80s.
Yeah, baby. Hey, Saturday and Sunday carrying the sun, man.
It's carrying the sun.
That's a heavy load.
I love you, Mason. I'm just kidding. I should have read this ahead of time, but I'm so busy with all of this, and I'm like, what the...
Now, we cannot rule out clouds carrying some showers in on Sunday.
Yes, that could happen as well.
Yeah. Clouds are known to carry rain.
Clouds could carry some shade as well.
They could. They could.
So can you, apparently.
Yes, Mason. Very good. Thank you, man. Mason. I love that.
I'm glad to be back.
Brother Mason.
Hey, Ken... Yeah. Have you seen? I tweeted this out. Some people on social media are saying that Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, she was dressed like a candy corn. I'm just going to invite you. I texted it out. Why do I say text? I'm all screwed up. I tweeted this out early this morning. She's wearing like bright orange. And whatever. I mean, people seem obsessed with the way that Karine Jean-Pierre was dressed yesterday. I'm more obsessed with what she said. Listen to this from her question from Peter Ducey that she clearly did not want to answer.
Thanks, Karine. So what do you call it here at the White House when 10,000 people illegally cross the border in a single day?
So what do you call it Peter, when GOP puts forth wait, no, you can't. I'm answering. Okay, we're gonna move
You're
on.
answering
No,
the question with the question? Okay.
no. We're moving on.
Kareem,
We're moving.
please.
In the back. Go ahead.
You said you were
Go
stopping
ahead,
the flow
back.
at the border.
No.
10,000
I tried to
migrants.
answer, Peter. I
Okay.
tried to answer the question. You stopped me. Let's go. Go ahead.
She wouldn't answer the question. and so what, I mean, it's obvious what happened is Ducey kind of gave her a way out because he wanted to jump in and try and stop her at the pass and say, okay, well, you're talking about, all of these 10,000 migrants and what do you call it? Because they didn't want to call it a crisis. Remember all that thing?
Oh, yeah.
So when he tried to jump in, she said, nope, not going to talk about it. And she used that as an opportunity to shut Peter Ducey down. Now, as far as the way that she's dressed, I don't care how she's dressed, but she's wearing an orange jacket and like a yellow shirt. And so, whatever. Here's the thing. People are freaking out over how she was dressed yesterday. Also, John Fetterman and the whole thing with the sweatshirts and gym shorts. They're in the Senate with the change of the dress code in the Senate. I don't like the change in the dress code, can I just say? But you know what the thing is? I'm more stressed out and concerned and flabbergasted at what the dude says than how he's dressed. I understand the outrage over how he's dressed, but oh my Lord, have you heard what he said? We play the audio all the time here on Nashville's Morning News. So there's a lot going on. This train wreck of a press conference yesterday did continue. See, Karine Jean-Pierre, there's been a lot of discussion regarding what has been going on, of course, on the southern border, and they are now trying to blame Republicans. One of the things that she claimed was that she was asked about the razor wire that Governor Greg Abbott put up across the Rio Grande as you've got all these people trying to get into Texas, into Eagle Pass, Texas. And so Abbott puts up the razor wire, and then you've got, the Biden administration that cuts the razor wire down. And so she was asked about that.
Is there now a federal policy of removing the barriers that Texas is installing?
So here's what I'll say. I would have to look into that. I did see those reports yesterday, but as it relates to Governor Abbott, we know what he has done these past couple of years while this president has been in office. He's turned this, when it comes to the border, he's turned this into a political stunt, and that's what he's done over and over again.
Stunt.
That's what I can speak to. I did see those reports. I would have to go back and get a sense from the team and give you an answer on that.
So Greg Abbott trying to save lives, because that's what he's doing. A 3-year-old died as his family is trying to cross the Rio Grande. The story came out yesterday. So Greg Abbott is trying to save lives by discouraging people from making that very dangerous trek across the river. But what about Eric Adams, the mayor of New York? Are his comments a political stunt? I would ask Karine Jean-Pierre, saying that New York will never recover from all this. Is that a political stunt? The mayor of El Paso, who is out there blasting Joe Biden this morning and last night, saying they can't handle all of this. Is that a political stunt? How about mayors in Democrat-run cities, sanctuary cities all across America who are frustrated with all of this? Is all of that a political stunt? Again, 2 words, clown show. I don't know how else to describe this, and the fact that Biden is out there and he is trying to, and Karine Jean-Pierre also trying to blame Republicans for this. I've got the audio from that right before the news. It is laughable, and it's coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul Winkler. The financial world can be full of landmines for investors. On the one hand, investment firms and the financial community will often overcomplicate the financial planning process to confuse investors. As one guy who used to work a big investment firm once told me, if an investor thinks that they're over their head, they'll blindly trust you. And it's easier to sell to them. I'm glad I'm away from that. On the other hand, many people oversimplify investing to the detriment of investors. Just having a little knowledge can be really dangerous. The idea there is the same. It's just a different way of selling things. At Paul Winkler Inc., we like working alongside our clients with an education guidance approach. I believe that there's confidence that comes with knowing what you're doing and why. We abide by the very highest level of fiduciary care, and we use the most sophisticated financial planning tools out there. And every one of our offices is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years experience. No kids fresh out of college. If that sounds like a winning formula, set up a free 15-minute phone call to learn more. Go to paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. You can do this.
New developments in the case of a dog shot and killed in a Nashville park. The government spending showdown continues in Washington with a shutdown seemingly more likely. Party buses in Nashville are moving outside of downtown, but still loud and drunk, so the coalition fighting to regulate the industry still isn't happy. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What are they complaining about, Ken?
People being loud and drunk.
Well, it is Nashville. I mean, that's what they do in Nashville, I guess, right?
Yeah, but they're taking it outside of Nashville, I think is the problem.
Oh, is that what the story is all about?
Yeah, I said that.
Well, I wasn't listening, Ken, clearly. I'm still trying to figure out Mason's weather forecast.
No, they're taking it out of downtown. I'll explain it coming up at 5:30.
Maybe it's just that one of two things has happened to me this morning. I've spent way too much time trying to understand Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yes.
And the press conference yesterday.
That can hurt you.
Or I just need more sleep. I'm sleep deprived. It is Friday.
Yeah.
And thank the Lord that it is Friday.
I've got something for the Gang of Three Amigos coming up, too. I think you're going to like. I do.
Thank you for being a team player. How about you, Mason? What did you bring to the table for the Gang of Three Amigos?
An attempt at the weather, probably.
There you go. An attempt at the weather. Very nice. Very quickly, I need some audio here, Mason. Bill Malusian, of course, he's been right there at the border for years now. And he's calling out Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Because remember, just 3 weeks ago in late August, Corinne Jean-Pierre was up there at that White House podium saying that they were, quote, stopping the flow here at our southern border. I mean, I'll let our viewers decide, but does this look like stopping the flow? The images we've been showing the last few days here, Eagle Pass has been completely overrun.
Yeah. I mean, tell you what, and when you're watching that video, I mean, you see thousands of these folks coming across our southern border. So, and yeah, the president had a really bad, he's had a really bad 24 hours.
Week.
It has been really bad.
It's been a rough week for him, man.
He has, man. Let's connect. It's been a rough week for all of us.
Yes.
Because we're suffering through the Biden administration and everything that is going on. So,
yeah.
And he had a big issue last night at some sort of a donor dinner. We'll share that with you straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on WTN. The Glock Store in Nashville. If you love shooting and training, you've got to check out the Glock Store. It is where I buy all of my guns, parts, and accessories as well. They've got a massive selection of everything related to your support of the Second Amendment, including training. They have what they call immersive training courses, like Women Only Wednesdays, taught by women for women, and various levels of pistol training as well. A group setting that is going to train you right, and you're going to have a lot of fun as well. So check them out today, shoot270.com, shoot270.com. Click on classes and events to check out what the Glock Store can offer you. 1930 Air Lane Drive, just minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
5:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Sunshine's going to win out the day today, the last day of summer. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. New developments in the case of a dog shot and killed in a Nashville park. This case may not be over. At first, police said there would be no charges. But News 2 says members of the prosecutor's office, alongside police officers, toured that area of Percy Warner Park yesterday, officers being asked questions. And while the shooter claims the unleashed dog aggressively came at him, there is the release of some of the 911 calls that indicate otherwise.
Yeah, he just killed a sweet dog that was lucky.
News 2 says they followed up with Metro Police on what the prosecutor's office was doing at the park yesterday and says officials told them that case is still open. A government shutdown now appears more likely with only 8 days left before the federal government starts running out of money, jeopardizing paychecks for federal workers, including military personnel, along with a range of federal services. Here's Terry Moran.
The speaker is struggling to get his members on the same page, and Ukraine is just one sticking point. In a stunning setback, McCarthy, for the second time, failed to muster enough Republican votes to move forward a major defense spending bill, something that typically just sails through. With With a fragile 4-vote majority, McCarthy is at the mercy of a handful of his far-right members.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett on the government spending showdown live at 6:35 on WTN's Nashville's Morning News this morning. And right now in Nashville, party bus companies are moving outside of the downtown core. News 2 says growth and regulation playing a big part, but the coalition of residents, business owners, and community members say the industry is still causing problems due to noise and drunkenness. This is Safe Fund Nashville co-organizer Jim Schmitz.
What these folks have done without any regard for their neighbors downtown have just brought the loud, the noise, the music, the screaming, etc., the drunkenness from Lower Broadway, where I have no problem with people doing that down there where there are bars, but taking it blocks away and sharing it with everybody else who did not move in there with that as part of it.
Well, Safe Fund Nashville hopes Mayor-elect Freddie O'Connell will help in further regulating the party vehicle industry. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 5:33, heading into fall and that great outdoor weather. Friends, if you need a lawnmower, furniture, appliances, the first stop you need to make is DT McCall's, either online or in person. Just go to their website. It's dtmccalls.com and check out their incredible selection of everything. And if you buy something online like I did, they're going to deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. Now, at DT McCall's, the price on the tag is the price. They don't try and sneak in additional charges. Now, that is what I call Middle Tennessee values. They've been here in the volunteer state for nearly 100 years, treating people right and doing what's right, offering great products at fair prices. Now, tell them Dan Mandis told you to stop by any one of their 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. 538, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the gang of three amigos. Ken Weaver's over yonder. Morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
Mason Fleming in for Johnny B today. Johnny taking the day off. Well deserved. I think that Johnny is as tired of hearing Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre as the rest of us. He just decided to say, screw it, I'm going to take the day off.
Yeah. Yeah, he just stayed home.
Mason, I've decided to give you like quadruple overtime pay to have to listen to all this crap in your headphones.
I appreciate it. It is much appreciated for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm Dan. How are you? I don't think Mason believes me, Ken. I don't know if you caught that sarcasm.
What, did that not sound genuine to you?
No, oddly enough, Mason, it didn't sound genuine, but that's okay. So, very quickly, Joe Biden has had a very bad couple of days. First of all, he was giving a speech last night where he was praising the Congressional Black Caucus.
And I mean this sincerely. My dad used to say, everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. The Congressional Black Caucus embodies all those values.
Yeah, the problem was he was in front of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
Well, he was talking about everyone.
He had no idea where the hell he was, Ken.
No.
And then at a dinner, this is all in the news today. Apparently at a dinner, I guess it was either last night or the night before, but it's in the news today, where Biden, apparently what he did, we've all heard the story about why he ran for office the first time in 2020. It's the story about, Charlottesville and how Donald Trump said that there's good people, white supremacists are good people. Everybody knows he took that out of context, Charlottesville. But here's the thing. He repeated the same story almost word for word within minutes of each other. So he repeated the same story twice in like 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that's
and
a problem.
Nobody has any concerns about this. This is the stunning thing, is that nobody has any concerns about this within the Biden camp, within the Biden administration. If Jill Biden had any compassion whatsoever, because people are now talking about, again, elder abuse. But if Jill Biden had any compassion for her husband, she would yank his ass out of the White House. She really would.
I go back to, the press conference with the president of Brazil, and the president is fumbling around with his earpiece. None of his handlers tried to help him.
Yeah.
And it is an awkward 60 seconds. And you can tell the president of Brazil he's not happy about that. That's making him angry. While he's trying to speak, the leader of the free world is over there messing around with his earpiece, not listening to a word that the Brazilian president is saying.
Yeah, here's the audio.
This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good.
I mean, it was really, really awkward.
Yeah. Did you hear his tone?
Yeah.
He's not
angry.
happy.
He is angry.
That made him look like a fool to his people.
Yeah, it did.
Man.
Hey, Mason, can I ask, when you come in, because I know you're not necessarily somebody engaged in, politics all that much. When you come in and you have to listen to all this, aren't you glad that you're not engaged in politics?
Oh, absolutely.
See,
yeah.
He's going to go home and watch SpongeBob, aren't you?
I might take a nap first, but then
yes,
catch up, see what the Sponge and the Stars are doing.
Brother Mason gets about 3 hours of sleep a day.
Mason, who's your favorite
Roughly.
SpongeBob character?
Oh goodness,
Mr.
Krabs.
I'm torn between Squidward and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, it's Mr. Crab.
Is it Mr. Crab for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Crab.
I think I relate most to Squidward, but I think I enjoy.
Don't ever admit that out loud.
Patrick?
Oh, wait, we're on the radio.
I was like, I'm on the radio. It's out there now.
All right.
You like Patrick?
I like Patrick. I think
I like Patrick.
Not having to worry about anything, being very like nothing going on in the head is so nice.
Even whenever his underwear falls down, he doesn't care.
Just living life.
You know who Patrick actually sounds like? Patrick actually sounds like John Fetterman.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning.
I mean, there's a little bit of a similarity in their voice. Right? Am I wrong on that? Maybe I'm wrong.
How many yachts can they need?
Mr. Krabs.
To water ski behind it. It's just crazy.
Actually, Patrick from SpongeBob, he sounds astoundingly smarter than John Fetterman, a senator, Democrat, from Pennsylvania.
A lot more coherent, that's for sure.
A lot more coherent.
And he's the one who lives under a rock.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Just saying.
I've got some content, Brother Dan Mandis.
Please, go ahead.
You want to hear it?
Sure.
You ready?
Yep.
Can you guess what that is?
Play it again. I don't know what that is.
One more time?
It sounds like a dog whistle. Is that a dog whistle?
Close.
Okay.
It is the Wienermobile whistle.
Oh.
The Wienermobile is back after a short-lived name change. Remember?
Oh, interesting.
They were going to change it to the Frankmobile.
Why did they do that? Did we figure out why they did that? Is it because they're afraid of the word wiener?
Well, according to the Kraft Heinz Company in May, changing it to the Frankmobile was a way to, to honor the brand's 100% beef franks and their new
Then they
recipe.
would have called it the Beefmobile.
Right, yeah, the Beefmobile would have been much better than the Frankmobile.
Well, I mean, if that's really what they're saying, they wanted to celebrate the beefness of their wieners,
right?
Then they would have called it the Beefmobile.
And frankly, Dan,
oh wow,
a lot of fans found that ridiculous.
Ken actually, did you write that line down, Ken, to make sure you didn't shank it?
But I wish I would have.
That was good. Actually, Ken's been looking forward to throwing that line down for hours since he saw that story.
Yeah, but the Wienermobile is back. They're not going to change that. I mean, they have decided to change it back to the Wienermobile, and from what I understand, the Wienermobile is making its way to Nashville.
I've seen it a couple times on the road coming into work into Nashville. It's an impressive sight for sure.
You ever had your picture taken with a Wienermobile? I have.
I have too, but
years ago, I had my picture taken with the Wienermobile in, I think it was Denver.
Yeah.
And there it was in all its glory in front of a Target store. And my kids were like, Daddy, 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 please go get your picture taken with the Wienermobile. So there I go.
Yeah.
Waddling over to the Wienermobile.
I even had one of those shiny little Wiener whistles.
We had one too.
Yeah.
We had one too. I remember my son running around the house with that, just blowing that whistle.
Yeah, so the Frankmobile is out. The Wienermobile is back.
Okay. Now, why did they change it back, though?
Well, they just claimed that they were only changing it to Frankmobile for a little while. They just wanted to honor the fact that it's all beef franks.
I think people called them on their BS.
I think they did, too.
I wholeheartedly agree.
See, is there anything, okay, now, let no juvenile humor allowed for the next 60 seconds.
That never happens on this show.
Absolutely not.
So, were they afraid of the word wiener for whatever, we all know what wiener, people.
Hot dogs, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that by changing the name to Frankmobile, they made it weird.
Yes, they did.
And now I've made it weird and awkward.
Well, they made it weird and awkward, and people, frankly, again,
there you go,
started calling it Wienermobile anyway.
1125 says my wiener whistles too.
I need to get that checked out.
Mine barks.
Oh,
how's your dog doing?
Yeah, Ken, how's your dog doing?
Little Fritz. Little fat Fritz.
Little fat Fritz.
Hairy little wiener.
Hey, have you seen the video of this golf course guy? This guy went viral.
I'm going to look it up.
So,
are you talking about the dude that rips off his shirt? I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So there's a guy that this went viral, and he's arguing with people on a golf course, and apparently, dude actually stole the golf ball of some other people, and so they start arguing about it, and it sounded like this.
You took her ball! You took her ball!
ball.
Bro, you took her ball. You need money for her golf balls.
So they're arguing over this golf ball, and of course everybody pulls out their phones and starts videoing.
Come on, bro. You took her ball.
So then this guy, he takes off his shirt and goes into the Hulk pose.
Oh, here we go.
You see that?
Oh.
That's what you spend the hell. You want to test God? You can come get it.
Oh.
You think I'm mentally ill?
Gotta go. Keep the ball.
Spend the heaven.
He actually called him a Shiite stack, a crap stack.
He said, "I'll plant you, B-boy."
He sure did, man.
Oh, here we go.
This is what it sounds like when I pull Murphy's show into the office for an air check.
Yeah.
Like when we start talking about break times and stuff.
That's
what it sounds like.
You spend the hell. You want to test God? You can come get it.
He's just like rips off his shirt.
You want to test God? You can come get it, Jack.
Mm-hmm. Calls him crap stack.
I love how it says in the title of it, it says he once threatened a neighbor in the street only wearing his underwear. So this is not a first-time offense.
Yeah, this
that
guy,
he's taken off all his clothes.
They say this guy goes into full Hulk mode. Ken, can you tweet out the video? Can you tweet out that? I should have done that earlier.
Yeah, this dude is...
He's a 41-year-old realtor from Ohio with extensive criminal past that includes arrests for drugs and, quote, intent to riot. And yeah, you're right, Mason. Once threatened a neighbor in the street wearing only his underwear. So apparently what he likes to do is take off his clothes and threaten people.
Oh, so you don't want to buy my house? You don't want to buy this house that I just spent time showing you?
I like how he's flexing there.
Right?
Flexing his pecs.
And here's the thing. He doesn't have like a Hulk physique.
No.
He's like a...
He looks like he might be as tall as I am.
He was wearing the right colors, though.
41-year-old John Reeb from Archbald, Ohio, was arrested twice over the summer. How would you like to be the person that has just listed your house with this guy, not realizing that he's a flippin' psycho?
Man, that's funny.
It's like, hey, I'd like to reconsider, the open house that we're going to have next Sunday. Anyway.
You want to test God? Come get you some, Jack.
How long before? And my favorite is where he calls them a Shiite stack, a crap stack. I've never heard that term before. Have you?
Oh, wait a minute. That's what you see that? That's a dude that's been to heaven, B. And you want to test God? You effing come get it.
There you go.
S-stack. Wow. Takes his shirt off. Do you see that?
Now, how long, Ken Weaver, do you think before they label this guy as a MAGA supporter? I guarantee you that's coming.
Oh, it won't be long.
I guarantee you that's coming.
Yeah, they'll find a picture of him with a MAGA hat on or something like that.
Or it'll be Photoshopped.
It'll be Photoshopped.
It's one of my favorite stories of the day. All right, 5:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN Congressman Tim Burchett will be joining us at 6:35 here on Nashville's Morning News. Now, coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, we have that. We also have more audio from Karine Jean-Pierre as she was simply refusing to answer questions over the border crisis, and it's not a crisis to the Biden administration. Also, we have audio from Matt Gaetz, and he is throwing one last bomb at Kevin McCarthy before it sounds like he's going to file a motion to vacate. So those stories and a whole lot more straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Dan Mandis here. A great deal for you from my friends at Window Nation. And the operative word this month here in the month of September is more. When it comes to new windows, they always give you more at Window Nation. More value, more quality, more selection, and more energy savings. And right now, the more windows that you buy, the more you save. Up to 50% off plus a whole lot more. You pay nothing for 2 full years. It is another amazing deal on the windows that deliver more for your home. And again, right now, the more windows that you buy, the more you save. Up to 50% off plus a whole lot more. You pay nothing for 2 full years, plus 50% off all style windows. It is another amazing deal on the windows that deliver more for your home. 866-90-NATION. You've got to tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 866-90-NATION. 866-90-NATION. The website, windownation.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
New developments in the Nashville case of a dog shot and killed in Percy Warner Park. And the president and vice president going to announce a new White House coalition today to stop gun violence, and Kamala Harris will be the boss.
Oh, good.
Details at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I mean, the only reason I say good is because everything Kamala Harris touches turns to crap.
Well,
so we know that their desire to go after our guns and our Second Amendment rights will fail epically because Kamala Harris is in charge.
Yeah, I keep waiting for her to come out and announce how she's fixed the border crisis. Because remember, she went down there to fix it a couple of years ago.
Well, you know, you had Kamala Harris, border czar.
She was the border czar.
You had Karine Jean-Pierre and Biden. I'll get to this audio in the next hour, but part of what they're trying to do is now blame Republicans. Joe Biden, I've got an audio bite from Joe Biden where he is actually saying that it's Republicans that have caused the problems on the southern border. Obviously, clearly not true. But that's part of the story of illegal immigration today. Republicans, of course, battling over spending as well. Got a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News. By the way, the super text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and today is the last day of summer. I'll tell you if it's going to rain this weekend, coming up during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, the case of the man shooting and killing a dog at Percy Warner Park may not be over. At first, police said there would be no charges, but News 2 says yesterday members of the Davidson County Prosecutor's Office, alongside police officers, toured that scene. Officers were being asked questions. There's been pushback from some in the community since the dog, which was unleashed against park rules, was shot by a man who claims it came to him aggressively.
It's horrible. I shot somebody's German Shepherd. They got too close. They didn't have it on a leash. I didn't know they had it on a shot collar. I had to shoot somebody's dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what the right thing is to do, but to call it in.
Well, News 2 says it reached out to police about the prosecutor's office presence there at the park yesterday, and police told them the case is still open. Later today in our nation's capital, President Biden will announce a first-ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and it's going to be overseen by Vice President Kamala Harris. It is expected to streamline the government's efforts to reduce gun violence, make sure executive orders and new gun laws are properly implemented. President Biden's expected to make that announcement in the Rose Garden. He's going to have police officers, survivors of gun violence, lawmakers, as well as some individuals Biden has met with as he mourned shootings from Parkland to Uvalde. Government spending showdown that could lead to a shutdown update. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, clearly frustrated, says some far-right members of his party apparently want to, quote, burn the whole place down. Roughly half a dozen House Republicans refusing to agree to new spending measures demanding more cuts.
I don't understand why anybody votes against bringing the idea and having the debate. This is a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down. That doesn't work.
Well, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett on the government spending showdown live at 6:35 this morning on WTN's Nashville's Morning News. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. BeaconCM.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Concerns about another interest rate hike possibly down the road had investors in retreat mode on Thursday. The Dow Jones fell 370 points to close barely above 34,000. The S&P lost 0.7%. The Nasdaq gave up 1.8%. High interest rates and a lack of inventory are putting a damper on the housing market. The National Association of Realtors says sales of existing homes fell 0.7% in August compared to July, and compared to last August, sales were down more than 15%. United Auto Workers and the big three car makers have dug in their heels on retirement benefits, cost of living adjustments, and work-life balance issues. Without progress in negotiations, the union plans to strike at more auto plants at noon today. Forget the political chill between China and the U.S. The Chinese love the iPhone. They've been flocking to the flagship Apple store in Beijing today, a chance to purchase the new iPhone 15.
All right, checking futures ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 44, S&P up 13, NASDAQ up 76. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
6:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. So much going on, along with Ken Weaver, Mason Fleming in for Johnny B today. And yeah, there is a lot going on. We do have Congressman Tim Burchett. He'll be joining us at 6:35 to talk about everything. We got the border. Of course, that is going on. That is, even CNN is reporting on the train wreck on the southern border. So we do have that for you. Also, we have the battle going on within the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. That is also something we'll be speaking to Tim Burchett about. Now, Matt Gaetz, of course, everyone knows that Gaetz absolutely hates House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And so Gaetz said this here, I believe this was yesterday, with one more warning for Kevin McCarthy. Here's what he had to say.
I could tell you that McCarthy must either come into compliance with the deal he made in January, he must do so very quickly, or there will be a motion to vacate. And a lot of that is spending, and some of it is like, I want to vote on federal term limits. I want to vote on a federal balanced budget, even though I know that those things are going to fail. And then he promised to release the January 6 tapes.
All right, so there's a lot going on. And again, we've spoken to Congressman Andy Ogles about all of that here in the last couple of days. Congressman Tim Burchett also will be joining us. This is the headline from NBC News. Deflated. I'll ask Tim Burchett, you guys were deflated? I know a lot of people are angry within the Republican Party. Deflated. House Republicans leave town with no solution for government shutdown that does loom September 30th. As a matter of fact, Speaker Kevin McCarthy brought up a vote to advance a bill to fund the Defense Department. For the second time this week, it failed. And so the Republican Party, I do find it interesting because the Republican Party is, people are trying to say, I know Nancy Pelosi the other day said, oh, the Republican Party, what a clown show. No, the Republican Party is doing what it's supposed to do, which is fight over stuff. Fight over government spending, fight over how much money we give Ukraine. All of these things are things that we are supposed to be debating. Now, the question is, are they really debating, or is this whole thing just become, a peeing match between Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz? Because there is a lot at stake. Also, by the way, just so you folks know that I know, have you seen what Biden wants to do? Just very quickly with Ukraine. There's a couple of stories out there regarding Ukraine. One of them from the Daily Mail. And the headline is that you have now leaders across the world are tiring of Zelensky, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. They're tiring of him flying around the world demanding a blank check, which is exactly what he was doing yesterday here in America, in Washington, D.C. There is Zelensky and President Biden and others, and he's got his hand out, and he's not asking, he's demanding. Simon Atiba tweeted this out, that Joe Biden is going to delegate the Secretary of State the ability to give Ukraine $128 million without congressional approval. Now, I believe the reason why he's doing that is because Biden knows, or whoever is controlling the mind of Biden, but they know that Republicans and some Democrats are tiring of his demands. And so everywhere you turn, you have Zelensky demanding this money. And I got to be honest with you, I don't believe that McCarthy or really any Republicans, unless you are one of the Republicans who is just all for writing a blank check to Ukraine, they have no interest in what Zelensky has to say because time and time again, it is all about demands. Now, what is going on the southern border? There's a number of things that are happening this morning on this Friday, September 22nd. But first of all, you do have now one of the biggest news stories out there this morning is about how Joe Biden is trying to blame Republicans for the problem on the southern border. Now, it is stunning that he would try to do that, but that is exactly what he and Karine Jean-Pierre are trying to do. I'm going to play a couple of audio bites for you. This is the mayor of El Paso, Texas, Rolando Salinas, and he is trying to deal with thousands and thousands of these illegal aliens and these migrants that are coming into our country.
I'll be honest with you, I believe 100% he does bear some responsibility for this crisis. I haven't heard from anybody in the administration.
Yeah, he's talking about Joe Biden.
The president hasn't put out a statement. The vice president, I haven't heard from anybody. Nobody has bothered to call me, anyone in the city staff saying, hey, this is the federal government. We know what you're going through. We're worried about you. This is our plan of action. Nothing. We're here abandoned. We're on the border. We're asking for help. This is unacceptable. Please, just enforce the laws that are on the books. We're a nation of laws. That's all I ask for, is that it shouldn't be like this.
No, it shouldn't be like this. And so the president, along with Karine Jean-Pierre, see, this is now what they're doing. The talking point for the Biden administration is that somehow the Republicans are to blame. And this is Joe Biden last night blaming Republicans.
For decades, immigration reform has been a bipartisan in this country. Unfortunately, the mega Republican Congressman of my predecessor spent 4 years gutting the immigration system under my predecessor.
Now, first of all, he's mumbling. Mumbling Biden is back. But, you know, when he says that the Republicans were, quote, gutting the immigration system, what they actually did is they got the immigration issue reasonably, anyway, the illegal immigration reasonably under control. So I don't know what mumbling Biden is talking about. I don't think he does either.
They continue to undermine our border security today, blocking bipartisan reform.
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. The Republicans in the House of Representatives actually brought the answers to our illegal immigration problems in legislation. And the Democrats in the Senate, they refuse to even allow this legislation to be voted on or even heard. See, that's the problem, is Republicans in the House do have a plan, but it's the Democrats that are not allowing those plans to come forward. Meantime, again, you have Karine Jean-Pierre and others basically saying that no, they absolutely refuse to allow what the Republicans want to see as far as border security to happen, and at the same time blaming Republicans for the problems on the southern border, which is an absolute joke. Again, Tim Burchett will comment on that at 6:35 here on WTN. It is now 6:15. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. 616, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather for today, nice and sunny heading into the weekend, a high of 85, sunny and highs in the 80s throughout the weekend here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, along with Ken Weaver, Mason Fleming in for Johnny B. So there was this audio bite that is making the rounds this morning. It is Karine Jean-Pierre and Peter Doocy. She clearly just doesn't want to answer any questions related to the southern border. A lot of people talking about what happened yesterday.
Thanks, Karine. So what do you call it here at the White House when 10,000 people illegally cross the border in a single day?
So what do you call it, Peter, when GOP puts forth a wait, no, you can't. I'm answering. Okay, we're gonna move on. No, we're moving on.
Karine, please.
In the back.
You said you were stopping the flow at the border.
No. I tried to answer, Peter. I tried to answer the question. You stopped me. Let's go.
So obviously she doesn't want to answer the question, and she, as Doocy was trying to refocus her on the question that he was actually asking, she was like, no. Basically, it's like talk to the hand, right? I just, for once, I would like to see somebody, and I've said this before, but I'd like to see somebody within the White House press corps stand up and say, no, let's answer what Peter Doocy was trying to ask. which is, what do you call thousands of these migrants coming across our southern border? What do you have to say about that? Do you call it a crisis? You're trying to blame the Republicans. Clearly, the Republicans are not to blame for all this. The Republicans do have a plan. They did have a plan. That plan was executed under former President Donald Trump. Joe Biden comes in and does everything that he does, and that led to what we are seeing today. But nobody wants to talk about that within the Biden administration. And I think that by and large, you have a lot of people across America who are seeing what's happening, and they're just shaking their head in disbelief. Because when the president or the president's press secretary tries to blame Republicans and tries to say for years they said the border was closed, when it obviously is not, as everyone knows, you look at that and you think, okay, so are you more angry? Are you angrier at the lie? Are you angry that they have the border wide open so that God knows who is coming into our country? What are you more angry with? And that is something that, we've been talking about for a long time. Now, Biden, of course, one of the things that he keeps talking about, and this is especially true in the last couple of days, is he is really, as I like to say, steering into the train wreck and embracing the open border. This is part of what he said yesterday in this announcement that he is now doing everything he can to facilitate all these folks coming across.
We put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way. Second, we're significantly expanding legal pathways for entry so businesses can get the workers they need. Families don't have to wait for a decade to be together. I've also directed my team to make a historic increase in the number of refugees admitted from Latin America. People fleeing violence and persecution who simply want their kids to have a better life. Next week, my team will consult with Congress on this plan. Third, we're supporting states and cities that have seen a surge in immigrants. We've developed federal experts and deployed them to help train city workers.
So basically now what the president is doing is, on the one hand, he is saying that he is facilitating all of these migrants coming across, but he's also, as I played you the audio bite earlier, he's also trying to blame Republicans for the issue and the situation on the southern border. And so the more that the president, my opinion now, the more that the president tries to blame Republicans, the more I believe that the media will finally start reporting this for what it is, which is a blatant lie. We'll have to see if they actually do it, but we know that there's a lot of Democrats that are looking at what's happening on the southern border and in El Paso and in New York and in all of these other Democrat-run cities, and they do now realize that Democrat mayors are finally calling out the president. We'll have to wait and see if this does anything to move the polls, because everyone knows that Joe Biden is doing fundamentally poorly at the polls. Now, the question is, will this impact the election in 2024? If the president is even the one that the Democrats vote for in the primary, if he even makes it to the primary, because right now he doesn't really have anyone who's running against him. But the more that the president shows signs of aging, and I've got an audio montage for you coming up, the more that the president shows signs of aging, and it is every single day now, the more the Democrats in private and even more in public are saying they do need another option. So whether it's his failed immigration policy, whether it is his failing cognitive skills, everything points to, at least for me, everything points to someone else stepping in and Joe Biden stepping aside. We'll have to see what happens. It is 6:21 on WTN. Dan Mandis here for Advanced Hair. This is for all my listeners who are struggling with hair loss. Now, I'm sure that you've tried all the lotions and pills and creams and potions as well. Well, with so many options out there and doctors out there as well, who are you going to trust? What is really going to help your hair grow back? Well, Advanced Hair and their Advanced FUE It is an incredible breakthrough and something that will help you in your battle against hair loss. You've got receding hairline, you've got thinning hair, you've got bald spots. Advanced Hair offers a simple and quick one-day treatment that begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. And they even guarantee that your new hair is going to grow. It does work for both men and women across all ages, and there is no one in hair restoration that I recommend more. Call them today for your free consultation, 629-348-HAIR, 629-348-HAIR. If you move forward and mention my name, you're going to get $500 off. 629-348-HAIR. Refine your hairline with the team that has redefined hair restoration. And don't forget to ask about that guarantee. Make sure to view the incredible before and after photos at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul Winkler. The financial world can be full of landmines for investors. On the one hand, investment firms and the financial community will often overcomplicate the financial planning process to confuse investors. As one guy who used to work a big investment firm once told me, if an investor thinks that they're over their head, they'll blindly trust you. And it's easier to sell to them. I'm glad I'm away from that. On the other hand, many people oversimplify investing to the detriment of investors. Just having a little knowledge can be really dangerous. The idea there is the same. It's just a different way of selling things. At Paul Winkler Inc., we like working alongside our clients with an education guidance approach. I believe that there's confidence that comes with knowing what you're doing and why. We abide by the very highest level of fiduciary care, and we use the most sophisticated financial planning tools out there. And every one of our offices is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years experience. No kids fresh out of college. If that sounds like a winning formula, set up a free 15-minute phone call to learn more. Go to paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. You can do this.
got a new development in the case of a dog shot and killed in front of people at a popular Nashville park. President Biden announces a first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and wait until you hear who the boss will be. A government shutdown seems more likely, and party vehicles showing up in places other than downtown Nashville. We'll give you the reaction to that and these stories and more at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know who's really mad at the fact that Congress went home without a deal?
Who?
Tim Burchett, congressman.
Yep.
He's got a thing or two to say about all this, and he's going to join us next on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Also, more and more Americans are worried about Joe Biden, including a whole bunch of folks who voted for the president. That story for you as well straight ahead. It is all coming up on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Today is the last day of summer. I'll tell you if it's going to rain during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, the case of a dog shot and killed in a popular park may not be over. At first, police said they would not be filing charges against the shooter, who claimed that unleashed German Shepherd came at him aggressively in Percy Warner Park. This is the shooter on the 911 call.
It's horrible. I shot somebody's German Shepherd. They got too close. They didn't have it on a leash. I didn't know they had it on a shot collar. I had to shoot somebody's dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what the right thing is to do, but to call it in.
Well, the dog's owner admits his pet was off leash, which is against park rules. But News 2 says they followed up with Metro Police on the prosecutor's office tour of that scene yesterday and were told that the case is still open. Later today at the White House, President Biden will announce what the White House calls the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and it's going to be run by the Vice President, Kamala Harris. Elsewhere in Washington, a government shutdown now appears more likely with only 8 days left before the deadline to when the federal government starts to run out of money. House bills must have a rules vote in order to even get a debate. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has now lost 3 of those rules votes that are typically a rubber stamp of his own party. It's been more than 20 years since that happened under Speakers Newt Gingrich and Dennis Hastert. And Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett will give us more information on this government spending showdown live coming up after traffic and weather right here on WTN's Nashville's Morning News. Also in Nashville, the party vehicle industry, which has been seen in neighborhoods outside of downtown. A coalition of residents, business owners, and community members pushing for tighter regulation still isn't happy. News 2 interviewed Michael Winters, who owns the Nashville Tractor, who said they moved to parts of South Nashville for the sole purpose of unclogging downtown.
People see us coming down, certain roads, and they think, what are they doing here? What they don't understand is we're actually trying to help the problem of the downtown core area by moving our operations out. It's not that we want to party on McGavick Pike or in Midtown or any other, or the Gulch for that matter.
Well, Safe Fun Nashville says they appreciate the effort, but the party vehicle industry is still too loud in bringing drunkenness into areas where people live and don't want it. And Safe Fun Nashville says it hopes Mayor-elect Freddie O'Connell will do something about it. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Dan Mandis here. I want to tell you about my friends at Cove Generators. You always need to prepare for that always unpredictable Middle Tennessee weather and power outages as well. And that means, of course, generators. My friends at Cove Generators can hook you up with the absolute best around, the Generac home standby generators. And right now at a fantastic price, plus a free 10-year warranty when you make that purchase by October 8th. Now, these generators are sleek and quiet, and they do run off of natural gas. So the second that your power goes out, they immediately turn the power back on and keep your family safe. Now, you can call them to inspect and perform maintenance on your Generac automatic standby generator or any brand of generator you own. Cove Generators is your premier Generac home standby generator dealer. Call them today for that free 10-year warranty and be prepared for the next power outage. Call my friends at Cove Generators. That phone number is 931-559-3311. Find them online at covegenerators.com and never lose power again. 931-559-3311 online, covegenerators.com. Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. 6:38 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to welcome on into the program Congressman Tim Burchett out of Knoxville. But Congressman, you decided to stay in Washington, D.C. A lot of your fellow Republicans decided to, go home. I think a lot of the media is portraying the Republicans in the House as dejected. You have another word for it. You're disgusted with everything that's been going on. Tim Burchett, thank you for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News. And there's been a lot going on. Republicans couldn't pass a stopgap spending bill, can't pass a defense spending bill. You've got Matt Gaetz going after Kevin McCarthy, threatening a motion to vacate. What a mess. What is your mindset this morning, Congressman?
A little bit of frustration, but the reality is this is what conservatives have said all along. We're tired of the spending. We're going to take in $5 trillion, and by any conservative estimate, the spending packages that are being put forth, I mean, the ones that our so-called conservative friends are putting forth, have $7 trillion. So we're taking in $5 trillion, and we're going to spend $7 trillion. That just does not work anymore. The curtain's off. America is seeing what's going on. They want to pass these continued resolutions, which I've never voted for a continued resolution, I don't believe. And all that is just a stopgap. It gives you 30 days to pass, guess what, another continued resolution. And then they back us up against Christmas, and then they pass what's called an omnibus. Now, a continued resolution just continues on the Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi spending spree, not defending our border, billions overseas, just continue down this path of destruction. And so we said enough is enough. Republicans were elected for a reason, and dadgummit, we're gonna do that, and that's what we're doing. And so it's apparently it's working, because yesterday they told us they were going to take up the four of the individual appropriations. There's 12 of them, and we're going to take them up individually. So it's starting to work. That's what we do in Tennessee in the legislature. I spent 16 years there. People knock Tennessee, but they're fighting to get in. I know Nashville, it's just booming. Knoxville's booming. Chattanooga's booming. And the reason they're here is one of the reasons is it's a pro-business state. Yeah, it's a right-to-work state, but we're a low-tax state. We have zero debt. Every bill that they take up in the legislature in Tennessee has to do with that subject. It doesn't deal with 100 different other things. And that's what happens up here. We pass an omnibus bill, it's called. And what an omnibus, it's the classic Nancy Pelosi, we got to pass it to know what's in it scenario. So what you do is you read down through this 2,000-page bill, you find out your pork project or whatever you're wanting to fund, and then guess what? You stop reading, and then you vote for the bill. There could be 1,995 other pages of nonsense, but you're going to vote for it because it's got your issue, your specific thing. Everything ought to stand on its own, brother.
Yep.
It should stand on its own. And, yeah, if we're going to be here all night voting, we're going to be here all night voting. We make a heck of a lot more than the average Tennessean does for the lack of work you get out of us.
Well, you talk about the omnibus spending bills. It's like a cauldron of spending. It's like everything is just thrown in. And you're right, Nancy Pelosi, we got to pass it and then read it. And nobody lives like that. Congressman Tim Burchett joining us. Nobody runs a business like that. Nobody runs their life like that. Nobody runs their personal finances like that. Yet somehow Congress has been getting away with this for a long time. And now here we are with $33 trillion in debt. So the one of the things that I find interesting is the left is trying to brand this as a MAGA if it ultimately is shut down. The government is ultimately shut down. They're trying to brand this as a MAGA government shutdown. And one of the things that I said the other day is, you know what, if MAGA means calling for reasonable spending, then I believe that, air quote, MAGA Republicans should own that all day long, because right now it's been incredibly irresponsible.
Yeah, I was just on NPR and they tried to classify that as just that very same thing. And I said, no, we're just trying to be responsible spending. Why are you trying to demonize somebody that wants that does not want the country to fall into bedlam. And that's exactly what we're doing. And this is the tools in our toolbox we're allowed to do. The notion that we're going to pass a continued resolution, this is what's being thrown out to us by leadership. Pass a continued resolution so we won't pass anymore. So you're telling me you give a heroin addict heroin to get them off of heroin. That doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. And these CRs, we've been doing them for over 30 years. The United States Congress is not, we have one duty, and that's to pass a dadgum budget. Yet we never do it. And so it just, both parties, and what it really does is it keeps leadership in power. This keeps them in power, and the good old boys, this is what's unbelievable too. We had this so-called mandatory meeting, and they, 2.5 hours, you heard about it the other day. The chair lady of appropriations she left there to go to a lobbyist, to collect checks from lobbyists to a fundraiser.
Wow.
That is the gist of this. That is what's going on in this town. And they don't like me. They don't like Matt Gaetz. They don't like a few other of us because we're telling the truth. I'm tired of kissing butt, and I'm tired of our country seeing hardworking Tennesseans make a decent living, and then all of a sudden, a year later, it's not enough to sustain their families. And that's just not right. And it's because of this kind of egregious spending. We hit 33. We were 32 trillion. Now we're at $33 trillion in debt. $33 trillion. It's just it's to me it's unconscionable.
Congressman Tim Burchett is joining us on WTN. Coming up, you mentioned Matt Gaetz. I've got some audio that I want to play from him for you to get your reaction. That part of the story and a whole lot more straight ahead. Right now, 6:45, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Jack. Nice and sunny today, heading into the weekend. A high of 85, sunny and highs in the 80s over the weekend as well on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Congressman Tim Burchett joining us. Staying behind, by the way, again in Washington, D.C., hoping to work some sort of a deal as we look at another possible government shutdown. Now, Congressman, this was Matt Gaetz, and he was on with, I believe it was Tim Pool, talking about Kevin McCarthy.
I could tell you that McCarthy must either come into compliance with the deal he made in January, he must do so very quickly, or there will be a motion to vacate. And a lot of that is spending, and some of it is like, I want to vote on federal term limits. I want to vote on a federal balanced budget, even though I know that those things are going to fail. And then he promised to release the January 6 tapes.
So it sounds like for Gaetz, it's a lot more than just spending. He's talking about the January 6th tapes and, term limits and some other things. So two-part question. Number one is, what do you think about these demands that are other than spending? That's number one. And number two, would Kevin McCarthy survive a motion to vacate vote?
Well, a deal is a deal. I was with Matt most of the day yesterday, and, he made these agreements. And what we're seeing now, I've studied leadership in different varieties of it. You may hate Nancy Pelosi, but you can't deny that she was effective. And the way she was effective was she got an issue or a bill or whatever. She figured out what she needed, and then she went to her members and said, this is what we're going to do. And then she brought the bill to the floor. The way our leadership works is 218, how many votes they need. They just throw a bunch of stuff out there, and then they figure when they get the requisite number of votes, they just jump on.
Yeah, I would say, Congressman, if I may, I would say that the Democrats are compliant. they'll do whatever Nancy Pelosi wants them to do. Republicans, I love the fact that this is an argument. And I said the same thing back in January when all of this was going on. This is what Congress is supposed to do. This is our country. There's supposed to be debate. There's supposed to be a fight. You're right, Congressman. Yep. Let me ask you one more question, if I could, and this is about illegal immigration. Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, both of them now, it seems like their strategy, it's not exactly new, but their strategy is to try to blame Republicans for the problems on our southern border. This was President Biden.
For decades, immigration reform has been a bipartisan in this country. Unfortunately, the mega Republican congressman of my predecessor spent 4 years gutting the immigration system under my predecessor. They continue to undermine our border security today, blocking bipartisan reform.
So I know that the Republicans in the House have brought legislation, and we all know that, President Trump had illegal immigration somewhat under control. What say you?
Joe Biden's a liar. He is a liar. They are wrecking this country. Thousands of people why isn't he putting something forward? Why is not the Democrat-controlled Senate putting something forward? They keep promoting this idea that they're doing something at the border, and they're doing something at the border by it's wide open. I've been there. Thousands and thousands of people are coming over. Human trafficking, fentanyl. It's just, you can walk across the border with a wheelbarrow full of fentanyl. It's happening every day. They are lying, and it's about. And if you saw yesterday, Joe Biden it got leaked, but they're issuing folks a form of American ID that are here illegally, and all they're going to do is backdoor them into the system. Once they get that, they get the Social Security number, they get the voter card, and then it's Katie bar the door, because that's what they're doing. They're just looking at numbers, and that's all leadership does in Washington. All they want to do is be in power, and that goes back to my other thing about maybe you didn't understand what I was saying about the way it works. All our leadership does is figure out what will win, and then they jump on board. There's no principles involved in it. Then they go out and have a press conference, and everybody pats them on the back and says, "Hey, we won again." But what did we win? We won nothing. We won nothing other than to say we won, and we've trashed our economy in the process.
So do you have a prediction as to what's going to happen here in 9 days?
No, I hope we don't have a shutdown. I really do. I just think that's a horrible situation that caused pain, and I really do not want to see that. I'm afraid that could be heading that direction if they don't get on board. But they have moved. Yesterday afternoon, they decided to do these 4 appropriations bills individually, which is what we wanted. We want to vote on stuff individually and not all pack it all in together. So we'll see. But that takes power away. I have this group, they call them the Cardinals and the 5 families. And, everybody's got their ego and everybody wants to control their deal. And that's exactly what they're doing. To hell with the country, hell with our economy and American families. But, we're going to stay in power. And it doesn't serve this country very well at all.
No, it doesn't. There's, as we like to say, and Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you for joining us on Nashville's Morning News. There's nowhere to rest your eyes. I mean, we've got the $33 trillion in debt. We've got the situation on the southern border. We've got the fentanyl. Didn't even get to the F-35 and all the funding for Ukraine. I mean, we could go, well, we do go on and on here on Nashville's Morning News. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us here on Super Talk 99.7, 652. And what if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Well, you can with my friends at Loan Pronto. Now, Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Credit Line, they do what they can to help you get out of debt. Now, you don't even have to do a full home refi. You can simply tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan is only going to cost you around $400 a month. So stop the madness and say no to 24% interest fees from credit card companies and call Loan Pronto today. By the way, ask about their amazing VA loan program as well. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. The website is loanpronto.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Loan Pronto, equal housing lender, NMLS number 166, 1781, subject to lender approval.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
A new development in the case of a dog shot and killed in front of people at a popular Nashville park. That case may not be closed. President Biden announces a first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and wait until you hear who the boss will be. Government shutdown seems more likely. Party vehicles in Nashville showing up in places outside of downtown. These stories and more at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:57, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I guess I'm a little confused, Ken. So
Yes.
you've got the dog was not on a leash, and he's supposed to be on a leash.
Right.
The guy says that he felt threatened.
Right.
So why are they not closing the case?
I do not know.
I wonder if they're going to charge this guy with something. Like, what do you charge him? I mean, there's probably some charge. I don't know what it would be, but
That's what we've got. That's what we got to hang around and find out, Brother Dan.
Yeah, it just seems to me like I don't agree with the fact that he shot the dog. He could have, again, gotten back in the car.
Right.
And, been nice and safe and secure from this dog. So, but there's a lot of debate there. I don't know what charge they would bring him up on. I'm sure there's something if they're going to. Anyway, thank you, Ken.
You betcha, brother.
News coming up, 6:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Seven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and today is the last day of summer. Might it rain this weekend? We'll tell you during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, there are new developments in the case of a dog shot and killed at a popular Nashville park. That case may not be over. News 2 says, at first, police said there would be no charges against a man who says he shot and killed that off-leash German Shepherd because he claims it came at him aggressively. He even called it in to 911.
It's horrible. I shot somebody's German Shepherd. They got too close. They didn't have it on a leash. I didn't know they had it on a shot collar. I had to shoot somebody's dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what the right thing is to do, but to call it in.
And the dog's owner admitted his pet was not on a leash, which is against park rules. But News 2 says yesterday, members of the Davidson County District Attorney's Office toured that area of the park alongside police officers. They were asking officers questions. News 2 says it reached out to police, who tell them that case is still open. Later today in our nation's capital, President Biden and Vice President Harris will introduce the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Harris is going to be the boss of it. A senior administration official asserted that this is not just more of the same. This mandate we have from the president is to do more. Government spending showdown that could lead to a shutdown update. House Speaker McCarthy, clearly frustrated, says some far-right members of his party apparently want to, quote, burn the whole place down. Roughly a half dozen House members refusing to agree to new spending measures. They're demanding deeper cuts. McCarthy lost a routine vote yesterday that would have triggered debate on a defense spending bill, which usually sails through the House. The United Auto Workers Union strike could expand today. The UAW local in Chicago, and it's more than 5,000 members already.
You guys are leading the movement right now, and it is inspiring, and it is so motivating, man, when I see a union member being interviewed either in Toledo or Detroit or wherever. Whoa, yeah, right? It is inspiring.
Now, the UAW giving GM, Ford, and Stellantis until noon today to meet their demands, or more workers are going to walk. Entertainment news. Jason Nathanson in Hollywood says there are signs that double strike is nearing an end.
There was a joint statement put out by the AMPTP and the Writers Guild saying talks will resume on Thursday. That's the first time they put out a joint statement. It's a small thing, But if you're looking for signs, that might be a good one. Another would be the fact that the heads of the studios, they were at the table for these most recent talks. These are very busy people. They're not showing up if nothing's happening.
Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Checking futures ahead of the opening bell this morning. Dow futures up 31, S&P up 10, NASDAQ up 64. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
708 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Friday to you, friends. Dan here along with Ken Weaver. Johnny B's out today. Mason Fleming is joining us, and appreciate you listening on Super Talk 99.7. And there is a lot going on. We've gone through illegal immigration. We've gone through what is going on with Ukraine. Of course, we also know what is happening with the budget shutdown. A great interview that we had, the government shutdown, great interview that we had with Congressman Tim Burchett here on WTN in the last hour. We'll replay some audio cuts of that probably in the 8 o'clock hour here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. New polling has been out in the last couple of days regarding Joe Biden and the fact that the American people, they're worried about Joe Biden. They're worried about the president, and they realize that the president he's not doing too well cognitively. This is an age-old story. Now, at this point, Republicans have been sounding the alarm on the president's alarming mental state, really honestly, for the last couple of years, clearly. But now Democrats are beginning to realize it as well. This is an audio montage that I heard on Fox News. These are Democrats talking about all of this. Actually, no, this isn't Fox. This is CBS News.
I think he's too old to be president right now. Like, he doesn't know what's going on right now.
I see him diminishing as far as his energy and the public. It's like he had to drink a monster drink or something just to stay awake. You know what I mean? Like, he's really just very tired, and the job is arduous. So, I mean, you need someone with a little more energy level.
Listen to this guy.
I think that will put him down.
I think he needs to be in front of voters to show that he's not the sort of doddering old man that the Republicans are trying to make him out to be.
Whoa, wait, what did this guy say?
I think he needs to be in front of voters to show that he's not the sort of doddering old man that the Republicans are trying to make him out to be.
You know, you want to talk about a brain-dead Democrat. He's got to go in front of the voters so that he can prove that he's not the doddering old man that the Republicans purport him to be. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is the kind of guy that will vote for Joe Biden regardless of the disturbing audio bites that are out there daily, every single day now. There's another audio bite or another story that the president is showing signs of aging. And it's not a Republican thing, dude. No, it is a Joe Biden thing. I mean, when you talk about how, it's the Republicans that are trying to portray the president as, old and feeble and all these things. No, that I would say is Joe Biden himself.
Stability. We talked about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, it's the Republicans that are making Joe Biden out to be a doddering old fool, as opposed to the president himself. Every time these days, every time he makes a public appearance. Oh, but wait, there's more. We all know the president has joked about his age before, and I think this is, part of a defense mechanism.
They're tired. No, I get it. Try being 110 and doing it again.
Yeah, all right, so everybody thinks that's funny, but in reality, it's not funny. I mean, he's got his hands on the nuclear codes, and yes, the president has had a bad couple of days. It has, by the way, he just made the joke about, being 110. Well, he's got the mind of a 110-year-old. And see, that's the problem. Again, I'll say for the 100th time, it has nothing to do with his age. It has to deal with his mental state. Now, in the news today, there's a couple of different stories regarding Joe Biden. Number one is he said this.
And I mean this sincerely. My dad used to say, everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect. The Congressional Black Caucus embodies all those values.
So wait, what did he say?
Congressional Black Caucus embodies all those values.
The Congressional Black Caucus embodies all of those values. Well, that's great, except that he was in front of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. So Joe Biden actually had no idea where he was or who he's talking to when he said,
Congressional Black Caucus embodies all those values.
well, again, he was in front of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Then at a dinner, apparently this was either last night or the night before, but the bottom line is this is news this morning, and big news this morning, as a matter of fact, is that he was at a dinner. I think it was a fundraiser, and I can't find this audio anywhere. If you folks find it, please send it to me. But what he did was he told the same story, repeated the same story, almost word for word, within minutes of each other. He's talking about this story about Charlottesville and how, Donald Trump, he said that white supremacists are good people after what happened in Charlottesville. It was a battle for the soul of the nation, and that's why he decided to run, right? First of all, that is a story that has been debunked over and over again, but Joe Biden clearly doesn't seem to care. But the fact that he told the story twice, nearly word for word, within minutes of each other, has people sounding the alarm. And at some point, there's going to be something that happens where finally the American people, the Democrats, and the media, and perhaps his cabinet, maybe Jill, I don't know, but somebody will say, honey, it's time for the rocking chair. Because it does seem like his mental capacities, they get worse day after day after day. And so whether he's mumbling, whether he is, was it yesterday? Gaffaday Biden, was it yesterday? Yeah, he forgot to shake hands with a Brazilian leader. He walked through a flag. As he was walking up on stage, he walked through the Brazilian flag. I mean, every day, doddering Biden, Shankaday Biden, does something to embarrass the American people. And so, yes, there are issues with the president and his cognitive ability. But see, to me, the more that we see about his cognitive ability and his declining mental capacity, the more that it brings into question, who the heck is running this country? And look what they're doing to this country. Because every day there's yet another story where it seems like the Biden administration and the Democrats are selling this country out, and it's happening day after day after day. 7:15, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. 7:16 on Nashville's Morning News. Sunny today, heading into the weekend, a high of 85, sunny and highs in the 80s. Over the weekend, 58 degrees now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And yeah, we all know what the polling shows. I don't need to go over it time and time again every single day. We know what's going on or not going on inside the brain of one President, Joe Biden. Now, also in the news today is this Senate dress code. Now here, can I just be honest? As far as John Fetterman goes and this whole thing with the dress code, for me, I'm far more worried about John Fetterman and what the Democrats are doing in the Senate than what John Fetterman is wearing. Although this is what he said on MSNBC. This was in relation to the dress code and the changing of the dress code so that the senator could wear gym shorts and a hoodie in the Senate chamber.
The right have been like losing their mind. They're just like, oh my God, dogs and cats are living together. And, like I said, aren't there more important things we should be talking about rather than if I dress like a slob?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there are more important things to talk about. By the way, you'll notice Fetterman says, oh, the right is losing their minds. Memo to John Fetterman. It's also the left. Dick Durbin and the Washington Post and the New York Times, they've all now come out and they are calling BS on Chuck Schumer deciding to change the dress code. But when it comes to Fetterman, and he's talking about all of this, and he says there's more important things to talk about, you know what I would say to John Fetterman? Yes, there are more important things to talk about, like your inability to speak and communicate.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
All right, very good. Thanks, John Fetterman. Clear as mud. From the Hill, the editorial board of the Washington Post is criticizing a change to the Senate rules on dress code implemented this week, allowing lawmakers to dress down in the upper chamber. The editorial board at the Washington Post, of all places, says dressing formally conveys respect for the sanctity of the institution and for the real-world impact of the policies it advances. The newspaper wrote in the editorial published this week, putting on a suit creates an occasion for lawmakers to reflect just for a moment on the special responsibilities with which the people have entrusted them and on a deliberate process that at least aspires to something serious. Now, here's the thing. I don't believe that John Fetterman takes any of this seriously because he seems to feel like he can say or do anything he wants in the Senate.
My message to the CEOs is, it's $74 million, collectively earning that. How many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Fetterman has made baggy and dressing down look, that's basically how he dresses. They say Fetterman has made baggy and dressed down clothing, including hoodies and gym shorts, a part of his blue-collar populist brand, the Post noted. The editorial board pointed out that such attire would disqualify him from working as a teacher in many schools or even some fast food restaurants. So word is today, though, that based on how this whole thing has been going for Chuck Schumer, they may change that dress code back. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We'll keep you updated. For me, all right, fine. So John Fetterman is dressing a mess. Well, the Democrats in the Senate, they have clearly made this country, and Republicans have clearly made this country a mess, and it continues to this day, whether we're talking about the border, $33 trillion in debt, all of this funding for Ukraine. That's really what I'm worried about, what John Fetterman wears. I can't believe this dude is even in the Senate. The people of Pennsylvania should be embarrassed. 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Fall is here, and that means winter is next. And you need to make sure that your home's heater is working and working efficiently. Becoming a Beehive member will ensure that you are running at peak efficiency for maximum comfort. And by the way, if your heater does break down, Beehive members get front-of-the-line service, so when hundreds of homes are without heat, you get serviced first. Becoming a Beehive member also means that you get 3 thorough maintenance services a year, including plumbing, plus no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off of all repairs. I've been a Beehive member for years, and you should too. The phone number is 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online, busybeehvac.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul Winkler. The financial world can be full of landmines for investors. On the one hand, investment firms and the financial community will often overcomplicate the financial planning process to confuse investors. As one guy who used to work a big investment firm once told me, if an investor thinks that they're over their head, they'll blindly trust you. And it's easier to sell to them. I'm glad I'm away from that. On the other hand, many people oversimplify investing to the detriment of investors. Just having a little knowledge can be really dangerous. The idea there is the same. It's just a different way of selling things. At Paul Winkler Inc., we like working alongside our clients with an education guidance approach. I believe that there's confidence that comes with knowing what you're doing and why. We abide by the very highest level of fiduciary care, and we use the most sophisticated financial planning tools out there. And every one of our offices is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years experience. No kids fresh out of college. If that sounds like a winning formula, set up a free 15-minute phone call to learn more. Go to paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. You can do this.
New developments in the case of a dog shot and killed in a Nashville park. Looks like the prosecutor's office is getting involved. The government spending showdown continues with a shutdown seemingly more likely. Party buses are moving outside of Lower Broad, but still loud and drunk, so the coalition fighting to regulate the industry still isn't happy. These stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, Ken, it's interesting because I was talking about, you and I were discussing this earlier, about what it seems like this case with the dog, it should be closed. Dog was not on a leash, and, you know, the guy shot the dog, but he felt like I guess he felt like he was in danger. Maybe his life was in danger, whatever. But the question is, why would they not close the case, since this does seem like such a open and shut case in the sense that, at least to me, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting is, even though I believe that the guy was correct and he was allowed to do what he did, how many people are going to stand up for this guy? Because I don't know if anybody has actually said he did the right thing.
Right.
He may have been legal. It may have been legal what he did, but I don't know if what he did was right. And so one of the super texters actually asked a very good question, which was, is there anybody that's going to, stand up to defend this guy for what he did, which is, he shot this dog. And the audio that you've been playing all morning, and we played a couple of days ago as well, his 911 call, he was extremely calm.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't sound like a guy that was in fear for his life. But what I would say, I'm not going to say that. What I would say is he sounds like a guy who is very sad that he did what he just felt like he had to do.
Yeah, he sounds like he takes no joy in it whatsoever.
Exactly.
And, the only thing I can figure, and kudos to News 2 for keeping an eye out and seeing this go down and reporting it, because otherwise nobody would have known that the prosecutor's office was out there, looking this scene over. But the only thing I can figure is there has been some pushback because police did not charge this guy.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't necessarily understand rules and laws. They just see what happened and they get emotional about it. So maybe the district attorney general feels like, okay, let's do our due diligence because we do have some people in the community who are upset at this. It is kind of, what I said last week about this thing is it's one thing to talk about it, but if you are there and you actually saw this dog get shot 3 times,
yep,
that is a very traumatic experience. Whether the man is in the right or not, that was a very traumatic experience for people. So the emotion is understandable, and maybe the district attorney's office is just doing its due diligence, checking it out to see if maybe there was something else that could have been done.
And you know what? And you're right, Ken. When it comes to due diligence, there's nothing wrong with doing their due diligence.
Right.
Because there's probably people in the community there's people in this world that care more about animals than they do people. And they're screaming that this guy should be brought up on some sort of a charge. And so the DA doing his due diligence, I can't imagine they're going to charge this guy, but these days nothing would ever surprise me. Thank you, Ken. News
you betcha,
with Ken
brother.
Is coming up. The Wellness Institute of Nashville has done it again. I want you to write this down and store this in your phone. 615-246-5009. This website is painisbad.com. You can save that as well, because if you suffer from chronic back and neck pain, that is the phone number to call. That is the website you need to go to so that you can find some relief. Now, remember when Obamacare was jammed down our throats? Well, we're jamming American flags everywhere we can with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. What they're doing is they are putting American flags back in our cities and back in our towns. It is called the Patriot Way Project. They've already put up over 75 flags, and you can check out this organization and donate at patriotwayproject.com. Now, as far as making you feel great about America, that's what that is all about. But he can also help you feel great again with spinal decompression therapy. If you're suffering from chronic back and neck pain, they can help you today. $23 get you started. 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Sunshine's going to win out the day today, the last day of summer. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. New developments in the case of that dog shot and killed in a Nashville park. That case may not be over. At first, police said there would be no charges. But News 2 says members of the prosecutor's office, alongside police officers, toured that area of Percy Warner Park yesterday, officers being asked questions. And while the shooter claims the unleashed dog aggressively came at him, there is the release of some of the 911 calls that day from witnesses who say otherwise.
Yeah, he just killed a sweet dog that was lucky.
News 2 says they followed up with Metro Police on what the prosecutor's office was doing at the park yesterday. They told News 2 that the case is still open. Government spending showdown to avoid a shutdown. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy canceling plans to hold votes over the weekend, sending members home, giving them a 4-day weekend. That isn't sitting well with Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett of Knoxville, who tells WTN's Nashville's Morning News They need to stay in Washington to work this out.
If we're going to be here all night voting, we're going to be here all night voting. We make a heck of a lot more than the average Tennessean does for the lack of work you get out of us.
9 days to go until that deadline passes and the federal government starts running out of money. Right now in Nashville, party bus companies moving outside of the downtown core. News 2 says growth and regulation playing a big part, but the coalition of residents, business owners, and community members say the industry is still causing problems due to noise and drunkenness, even if it is outside of downtown. This is Safe Fun Nashville co-organizer Jim Schmitz.
What these folks have done without any regard for their neighbors downtown have just brought the loud, the noise, the music, the screaming, et cetera, the drunkenness from Lower Broadway, where I have no problem with people doing that down there where there are bars, but taking it blocks away and sharing it with everybody else who did not move in there with that as part of it.
And Safe Fun Nashville says it hopes Mayor-elect Freddie O'Connell will help in further regulating the party vehicle industry. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. United Structural Systems, USS. Listen, if you're a homeowner and you think you might have an issue with your home, you need to call the experts at United Structural Systems when it comes to waterproofing, foundation work, or concrete leveling. Now, I've had these folks out to my house, and I am one of 25,000 satisfied customers that USS has helped over the years. Now, these things that I just mentioned, waterproofing and foundation work and concrete leveling, these things do get worse over time, folks. They don't fix themselves. So call the company that I've done business with for many years, USS, United Structural Systems. They've got a great work ethic. They're honest. They're capable. They're fair. That is USS. This is the company who cares and the company you can trust. They guarantee their best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com. 7:39, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Saw a couple of different stories regarding California and the spiral of California and how great other states like Tennessee and Texas actually are. Listen to this headline from the Daily Mail. Not going to spend a lot of time on this, but, as Tennesseans, and by the way, when I had that, when there was that talk radio seminar thing here in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, had some out-of-town program directors and, radio people here in Nashville, and they just could not stop talking about how great Tennessee is. And I said, that's great. Just go back to where you came from. We don't need any more people here. David Foster. Now, Ken, do you know who David Foster is? David Foster is one of the music moguls behind the success of Chicago. So when Chicago came out with their You're the Inspiration and, there's really softer songs. He and Peter Cetera, some people say that he destroyed Chicago, but whatever. He's a big producer, music mogul, big songwriter. Well, his daughters, Sarah and Aaron, say that they hate California Governor Gavin Newsom and accused him of trying to turn the Golden State socialist. Now, I don't know why exactly it is that this is making news, but it is this morning because, to me, it's obvious. But here's what they say. David Foster's daughters have accused California Governor Gavin Newsom of turning the Golden State communist. During their podcast, Sarah, 42, and Aaron, 41, opened up about their resentment towards their home state. They talk about who they are and that they are the daughters of legendary artist and music mogul David Foster. By the way, Foster has a net worth of $150 million. And they say that, they hate Gavin Newsom, which, by the way, there's still people out there that are thinking that he's going to run for president. And Newsom perpetually says, I'm not going to run for president. He's out there saying, you know what? I understand what Gavin Newsom is doing. What Gavin Newsom is doing is basically you got all these people that are out there and they're saying Joe Biden should not be running for president. Then you have Kamala Harris, of course, who next in line if Biden one way or another ends up out of office, Kamala Harris is next in line. Or if Biden decides not to run for re-election, that she just has no self-awareness, a big lack of self-awareness. She will try to run. And so Newsom is like, you know what? I want nothing, supposedly. I know what he's saying. I just don't really know how he really feels. But Newsom is saying, you know what? I don't want anything to do with this. Kamala Harris is great. Joe Biden's great. Let them run. Whatever. But the truth of the matter is that Gavin Newsom, and this is how a lot of Californians feel. This is the two daughters, Sarah and Aaron of David Foster. But, I mean, there's a lot of Californians, I'm one, that feel this way. They say, quote, if anyone follows me, you know that I have a lot of complaints about the city we live in and the state that we live in, Sarah says. I'm born and raised here. It's not so easy to just get up and leave. Memo to Sarah Foster and Aaron Foster. I got up and left. My family got up and left, and I didn't have a father that has $150 million. Now, I don't know how much money they have, and perhaps, he doesn't help them financially. I have no idea. But the point is that it is easy to get up and leave when you look at how California has just completely spiraled out of control. And more people are seeing exactly that. There's another story that's out there. And, I don't need to regale you with all the stories of how many people are leaving California to go to places like Texas, to go to places like Tennessee. But there's another story out there today of a family who did move to Texas, and they're making the rounds, and they're talking about how great it is to live in the state of Texas. Now, I have an interesting perspective on all of this because I was born and raised, as a lot of you folks may know, born and raised in California, and I said, screw it. And I left because it is a crap hole. And I left before it was fashionable to leave, because these days it's kind of fashionable to leave California. But I left California because of all the problems that they're dealing with today. I saw it very early on, and I moved to Texas. Then eventually I came to the great state of Tennessee, and I hope to never leave. But when they talk about these socialist policies of Gavin Newsom and the Democrats and what Joe Biden is doing to the United States, it's maybe easier to leave California, but it's hard to leave America. And so when you look at what Biden is doing, forget about Gavin Newsom. I mean, look what Joe Biden's doing. And that's why I think that states like Texas and Tennessee are doing everything they can to protect their states because of what Biden is doing at the federal level. And so it's going to get increasingly difficult to be able to escape the consequences of a Biden administration, regardless of what state you live in, because, those policies are going to continue to reverberate across the country, whether it's the economy, because we're all dealing with a very poor economy. But, here in the state of Tennessee, we don't have a state sales tax. So there is that, or a state income tax. So at least there's that. But it's hard to escape Bidenomics. It's hard to escape what is going on in our major cities as far as crime goes in these DAs. And it's hard to escape what's going on the southern border, because that reverberates across America. Yes, even in conservative states like Texas and like Tennessee. But people need to do what they need to do. And I totally understand what these two are saying. Music mogul David Foster's daughters, Sarah and Aaron, saying they hate California Governor Gavin Newsom, accusing him of trying to turn the Golden State socialist. And I think the Golden State is turning into a state of disarray. I think it's already there. 7:46, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. 7:47 on Nashville's Morning News. Nice and sunny today, heading into the weekend. A high of 85, and this weekend sunny with highs in the 80s. So a very nice weekend ahead. Super text line is open. A lot of people commenting on a lot of things, and 3293, because we've just run the gamut. I mean, we've covered a ton of topics this morning, including the looming government shutdown, illegal immigration. We had Congressman Tim Burchett on talking about everything that's going on within the Republican Party there in the House of Representatives. Just a lot going on. 3293 says, Dan, you left California because you are super cool. I agree with that. Thank you, 3293. It's interesting. Whenever I go down this road, a lot of people will find it interesting that we have a similarity. Because a lot of people will say, you used to live in California and you fled? Same here, Dan. Yeah, that's absolutely right. When I do Red Eye Radio and nationwide and I go down this road, oh my gosh, you should see the emails and the Facebook text messages that I get regarding all the people that have left California. 2333 says left California in 2011 for Texas, then moved here in 2017. Have not looked back. I got to tell you, I don't know if I was talking to Amy about this actually the other day, and I don't know if in my 55 years that I've ever had, and I've lived all over the place. I mean, I've lived in Indiana, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Colorado, I've lived in New York, born and raised in California, lived in Virginia. Tennessee is where it's at. I mean, there is just no other state that I would rather be. Ann says that we have people that move from California to our neighborhood. She says, I pray they don't bring Democrat brainwashed politics. I think that was and you people let me know on the super text line, have you actually encountered people from California? I think that's a misnomer. I think that people from California, I think they are escaping California. There's a reason why they're coming to Tennessee. There's a reason why they go to places like Texas. I don't believe that they're coming here to change things. And as this whole conversation has sort of changed over the years, because that was what a lot of people said, which was, well, if you're coming here from California, you want to change things. I don't necessarily know if that's true, because I have yet to meet a Californian, somebody who's from California. I have yet to meet a Californian who has come to the state of Tennessee, who came to the state of Texas, who wanted Texas or Tennessee to be like California. They've come here, again, because they wanted to escape California. So that's my question to you, the super texters. Have you ever met someone from California who actually does want to change things here in Tennessee? I have yet to meet somebody like that, but maybe they're out there and I just haven't met them. It is 7:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to tell you about my buddy John Griffith. Listen, if you are looking for a personal injury attorney, it can be stressful at an already stressful time, which is why I endorse John Griffith and all the pros at Griffith Law. Now, you know, John Griffith was honored as the Outstanding Trial Lawyer of the Year here in the state of Tennessee a few years back. It's one of many reasons why I do endorse Griffith Law. John is not afraid to go to trial if it means a better outcome for you. Now, John is hated by the insurance companies and loved by his clients. Attorney John Griffith is a conservative Christian whose goal it is to provide exceptional customer service, and he's got a long list of clients who have become big fans of his work. So you want to check him out, call him, tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. If you ever need a personal injury attorney, whether it is today, tomorrow, next week, or next year, remember the guy that I endorse, John Griffith, and all the professionals at Griffith Law. 615-807-7900, 615-807-7900 for personal injury attorney John Griffith. That website, griffithinjurylaw.com, griffithinjurylaw.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
We'll tell you about the new developments in the case of the dog shot and killed in a Nashville park. The government spending showdown continues with a shutdown seemingly more likely. More United Auto Workers Union members are prepared to strike starting at noon today. And we've got the latest on that Hollywood double strike. There are signs that may be about to end. These stories and more at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 7:56 on Nashville's Morning News. So, Ken, I was talking about in the previous segment, people that have moved here from other states, and do they really want to, as the narrative was for quite some time, do they really want to change Tennessee so that it'll be more like California? And I asked the super texters, have you ever actually met anyone from one of these other godforsaken states like California or Illinois or New York that want Tennessee to be more like those states?
Godforsaken.
Overwhelmingly, everybody says no. People from those blue states and those blue cities, they do not want Tennessee to become like the states that they left. Now,
yeah, that's the case in Idaho, too. All the Californians, and there were lots of Californians going to Idaho. They were tired of it.
Yeah.
The last thing they wanted was to be like California.
Now, one person does say, well, then who voted for Freddie O'Connell? Now, that's Nashville. Look,
that's
folks,
Nashville.
Nashville, because we have a very Republican state legislature, and we've had Republican governors for a long time. So I think Nashville and Memphis, they're just gone. I mean, you can't. I have so little hope for Memphis, and I have no hope for Nashville either. But it's Nashville, and so you had Freddie O'Connell, David Briley, Megan Barry. That is your classic Democrat-run city. But by and large, everybody on the super text line says no. People who left those blue states, people who left those blue cities, they want nothing to do with the kind of policies that they lived under in those previous states when they come to the great state of Tennessee.
Eight o'clock on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Today is the last day of summer. I'll tell you if it's going to rain this weekend during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the case of the man shooting and killing a dog at Percy Warner Park may not be over. At first, police said there would be no charges. But News 2 says members of the Davidson County Prosecutor's Office, alongside police officers, toured the scene yesterday, and officers were being asked questions. There has been pushback from some in the community since that dog, which was unleashed against park rules, was shot by a man who claims it came at him aggressively.
It's horrible. I shot somebody's German Shepherd. They got too close. They didn't have it on a leash. I didn't know they had it on a shot collar. I had to shoot somebody's dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what the right thing is to do, but to call it in.
Well, News 2 says it reached out to police about the prosecutor's presence at the park yesterday, and we're told that that case is still open. Later today in our nation's capital, President Biden is to announce what the White House says is the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and the boss is going to be Vice President Kamala Harris. It's expected to streamline the government's efforts to reduce gun violence and make sure executive orders and new gun laws are properly implemented. Government spending showdown, that could lead to a government shutdown update. Tennessee 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett of Knoxville says Democrats are trying to paint Republicans as MAGA radicals for trying to limit spending with the deadline for the shutdown approaching.
We're just trying to be responsible spending. Why are you trying to demonize somebody that does not want the country to fall into bedlam? And that's exactly what we're doing. And this is the tools in our toolbox we're allowed to do.
Speaker McCarthy sent members of the House home for a 4-day weekend with 8 days until the day the federal government starts to run out of money. The Auto Workers Union strike may expand today. Chicago's more than 5,000 member chapter ready and willing.
Stand up! Stand up! 551, stand up and be ready.
The union's demanding by noon today a 40% pay increase, a 4-day work week, better benefits, or more workers will walk off the job at more locations around the country. Entertainment news, Jason Nathanson says striking Hollywood writers and studios still talking, and they'll keep on talking today after representatives met yesterday with the bosses. Rumors that a deal was close.
The rumors we've heard have been like things are encouraging and things are happening. The writers say that comes from the AMPTP side, the studios, because at the end of the day, it's up to the writers to say yes or no to what the AMPTP is offering. So if talks fall apart after people have heard, oh, things are encouraging, things are happening, that will be bad publicity for the writers.
Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Checking futures ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 43, S&P up 16, NASDAQ up 95. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Man, a lot of people chiming in on this whole moving from blue states and blue cities to Tennessee. And some people are saying that, yes, they do meet people who have moved in here from some of these other states, and they do wish that Tennessee was bluer like they see in places like California. But by far, you have most folks that are saying, no, people that are moving here, they want it to stay conservative. Some folks, by the way, reminding me, and I understand this. Listen, I still have peeps in California. Like one, my mother. I cannot get that woman to move out of California. 81, 82 years old. You want to hear an 81, 82-year-old woman swear? And I'm saying 81, 82 because I can't remember how old she is. She's really old, my mom. I love her. But you want to hear her swear and drop F-bombs? You just ask her how she feels about Gavin Newsom. But I can't get her to leave. And there's a reason why. She's got ties there. But, I do still have friends in California. And no, not all of the people in California are bad. But here's what we do know is that here in Tennessee, by and large, most people, at least most people outside of Memphis and Nashville, are conservative, and they do want to keep the state. Again, by and large, conservative. We have a conservative state legislature, as well as Republican governors. And I know people are going to start yelling at me, saying that Governor Bill Lee is not conservative. Put that in air quotes. He's a rhino, whatever. That is a conversation for another day. By the way, a lot of people appreciate when I use the term escaped, when I talk about how I escaped the state of California. 8:08 on Nashville's Morning News. Anyway, if you want to continue that conversation, you can on the super text line. The number is 615-737-9986. Okay. So a lot of folks talking about what is going on the southern border. I want to get to some audio bites that I have not yet gotten to this morning. It is, the biggest news story I think that is out there today. We've covered a lot. But this is a moment yesterday during the White House press briefing where Karine Jean-Pierre and Peter Doocy, they get into it. Now, can you imagine? I just, on the one hand, I despise Karine Jean-Pierre, or as I not so affectionately refer to her as Cringe. I can't stand her because she is clearly, as everyone knows, a gaslighting, lying to the American people. But how the hell does she get up in the morning? Like, that's my question. It is so clear what is going on and what the Biden administration is doing and has done, whether we're talking about Bidenomics, whether we're talking about the southern border. I mean, you name it. Does she really believe the BS that she is spewing out to the American people? Does she really believe this? Or is she intentionally lying? Now, there was this moment yesterday during the White House press briefing where Peter Doocy is asking about the problems on the southern border.
Thanks, Green. So what do you call it here at the White House when 10,000 people illegally cross the border in a single day?
So what do you call it, Peter, when GOP puts forth a wait, no, you can't. I'm answering. Okay, we're gonna move on. No, we're moving on.
Great,
moving.
please.
In the back.
You said you were stopping the flow at the border.
No. I tried to answer, Peter. Okay. I tried to answer the question. You stopped me. Let's go.
No, but she's not trying to answer the question. She was trying to answer his question with a question, and she was going to start going after Republicans. I mean, you heard that. And we had Tim Burchett on, Congressman Tim Burchett on earlier. And he says, no. Republicans have a plan. We have had a plan for the southern border, and we passed it out of the House, and the Senate won't take it up. And we all know that this was reasonably under control with Donald Trump, when Donald Trump was in office. So when I played that audio for Tim Burchett, he said, no, she is full of it.
Joe Biden's a liar. He is a liar. They are wrecking this country. Thousands of people are. Why isn't he putting something forward? Why is not the Democrat-controlled Senate putting something forward? They keep promoting this this idea that they're doing something at the border, and they're doing something at the border by just, it's wide open. I've been there. Thousands and thousands of people are coming over. Human trafficking, fentanyl. It's just, you can walk across the border with a wheelbarrow full of fentanyl.
Yeah, and you heard him. The Democrats have done absolutely nothing. He was on earlier on Nashville's Morning News. We have put that for podcast at 997WTN.com. And part of what you heard Corinne Jean-Pierre just try to blame Republicans, she wouldn't engage with Peter Doocy. She used his opportunity. She used the opportunity as he was trying to refocus her on the actual question to say, no. If you're going to interrupt me, I'm just not going to answer the question. The reason why she won't answer the question is because she has no answer to the question. And so, but you heard her saying, well, the GOP, this is what Joe Biden said last night or yesterday.
For decades, immigration reform has been a bipartisan in this country. Unfortunately, the mega Republican Congress and my predecessor spent 4 years gutting the immigration system under my predecessor. They continue to undermine our border security today, blocking bipartisan reform.
Yeah, and, again, not to belabor the point, but as Tim Burchett said,
Joe Biden's a liar.
He's absolutely right. By the way, a couple of other moments during the White House press briefing yesterday. I've not played this audio for you, but, there's a lot of questions. First of all, what is going on with the situation regarding the razor wire that was put up? Governor Greg Abbott, of course, from the state of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott putting up razor wire back up across the Rio Grande at Eagle Pass. And so Biden, the administration there, after Texas puts it up, they just came along and they cut the razor wire down. So Texas is putting the razor wire up. Biden comes along and takes the razor wire down. And Corinne Jean-Pierre was asked about all of that.
Is there now a federal policy of removing the barriers that Texas is installing?
Wait till you hear what her answer is. That story for you coming up straight ahead. Also, a reporter asked Corinne Jean-Pierre, how many illegals is enough? How many migrants is enough? Because right now, we are up to at least 6 million. At least 6 million. How many is enough? And Corinne Jean-Pierre plays Mickey the Dummy on this one. I'll play you that audio for you as well on WTN 8:15. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. Nice and sunny today, heading into the weekend. A high of 85, sunny, and highs in the 80s over the weekend. And right now, 64 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Razor wire in the news on the southern border. Greg Abbott puts it up. Joe Biden comes along and he takes it down. And what does this mean from a policy standpoint?
Is there now a federal policy of removing the barriers that Texas is installing?
Here's what I'll say. I would have to look into that. I did see those reports yesterday, but as it relates to Governor Abbott, we know what he has done these past couple of years while this president has been in office. He's turned this, when it comes to the border, he's turned this into a political stunt.
Wow. She is going down the road again of a political stunt. How is that a political stunt? Trying to save lives. I spoke about this earlier. In the news today, a 3-year-old drowned in the Rio Grande River, that same river where Governor Greg Abbott put the razor wire up to prevent these families from coming across the Rio Grande and into Eagle Pass, Texas. The governor put that razor wire up basically to discourage families from making this dangerous trek. But Corinne Jean-Pierre, breathlessly says, "Oh no, this is nothing but a political stunt."
And that's what he's done over and over again. That's what I can speak to. I did see those reports. I would have to go back and get a sense from the team and give you an answer on that.
All right. So, number one, how do you not know about this? I mean, that's the other thing that I would ask Karine Jean-Pierre is, it's a big story last couple of days. How is it you don't have a statement ready? Well, it's because you're terrible at your job. So, but Abbott, as she says, trying to, this was all nothing but a political stunt. So one of the questions that I've been asking is, okay, so what about Eric Adams? Are his comments a political stunt where he said that he'll never recover, or New York will never recover from all of these migrants that are coming into our country? Is that a political stunt? What about the mayor of El Paso? You know, he's in the news today because he has some very harsh words for the Biden administration as well.
I'll be honest with you. I believe 100% he does bear some responsibility for this crisis. I haven't heard from anybody in the administration. The president hasn't put out a statement. The vice president, I haven't heard from anybody. Nobody has bothered to call me, anyone in the city staff, saying, hey, this is the federal government. We know what you're going through. We're worried about you. This is our plan of action. Nothing.
I mean, is that a political stunt? The mayor of El Paso saying that somebody in the federal government has got to help us.
We're here abandoned. We're on the border. We're asking for help. This is unacceptable. Please, just enforce the laws that are on the books. We're a nation of laws. That's all I ask for, is that it shouldn't be like this.
You know, I think it's time that we abandon this whole notion that we are a nation of laws, because clearly we're not. Whether we're talking about all of the laws that are being broken in these blue-run cities, these Democrat-run cities with George Soros paid for district attorneys that are allowing all of this just rampant criminal behavior to continue, to what's happening at the border. We are no longer a nation of laws. So that is a talking point when people discuss how great America is. I don't believe that we are a nation of laws any longer. A reporter also asked Karine Jean-Pierre, how many migrants is going to be enough?
How many people coming into this country illegally is enough for President Biden then?
Say that last one?
How many people illegally coming into the United States is enough for President Biden's administration?
Enough for what?
5.9 million people have been encountered illegally.
I know the numbers, but enough for what?
Enough just to stop the flow.
As I mentioned, this is a problem that's been around for some time now, for decades. A broken system.
Right. So that, as I said, how does she get up in the morning and continuously lie to the American people? And she's got to know. You think she knows that she's lied? Do you really think that she believes, all of this, all of these lies that she consistently says to the American people? I don't know. But how she gets up in the morning, and other people have asked the same question when she says these things. There's another soundbite that's out there. I don't even know if I pulled it because it's just so ridiculous. But, she consistently says, the president has, done historic things to control what's going on the southern border. And it's obviously a lie. And I didn't even pull it because I just think that sound bite at this point it is so empty, it's not even worth repeating. 8:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Get the speed you need at a great price with Xfinity Internet. Now, you know what's going on in my house with all three of us working on our computers, doing homework, of course, me doing radio shows as well. We all depend on Xfinity Internet in my house, and you can too. Now, you can get up to 5 times faster upload speeds for smoother connections on the largest gig speed network only from Xfinity. And Xfinity's gig speed internet is available to 99% of their footprint. In other words, it is fast, it is reliable, and it's everywhere. Now you can enjoy all your favorite apps all in one place with a Flex 4K streaming box. And you can stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. Now, those two words really do say it all, right? Fast and reliable. So get in touch with Xfinity and stay connected. To get started, call 1-800-XFINITY, visit xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds, not available in all areas, performance may be limited by customer's device configuration.
Hey everybody, I'm Paul Winkler. The financial world can be full of landmines for investors. On the one hand, investment firms and the financial community will often overcomplicate the financial planning process to confuse investors. As one guy who used to work a big investment firm once told me, if an investor thinks that they're over their head, they'll blindly trust you. And it's easier to sell to them. I'm glad I'm away from that. On the other hand, many people oversimplify investing to the detriment of investors. Just having a little knowledge can be really dangerous. The idea there is the same. It's just a different way of selling things. At Paul Winkler Inc., we like working alongside our clients with an education guidance approach. I believe that there's confidence that comes with knowing what you're doing and why. We abide by the very highest level of fiduciary care, and we use the most sophisticated financial planning tools out there. And every one of our offices is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years experience. No kids fresh out of college. If that sounds like a winning formula, set up a free 15-minute phone call to learn more. Go to paulwinkler.com or call 615-851-1950. You can do this.
New development in the case of a dog shot and killed in front of people at a popular Nashville park. That case may not be closed. President Biden announces a first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Wait till you hear who's going to be the boss of it. These stories and more at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:27, 28:05. Ken, you ready?
I'm ready.
It's my most hate-filled, vitriolic text that I've received today.
Okay.
It always seems to be 28:05, by the way. Dan, don't be a moron. Realize that Greg Abbott is only doing it, the razor wire across the Rio Grande. Realize that Greg Abbott is only doing it so that Biden can take it down and make himself look good. Are you that ignorant? So, according to 28:05, it would have nothing to do with trying to discourage people from coming across the Rio Grande so they won't drown or to protect the border. I mean, I don't know, 28:05, it sounds like you're the ignorant one, at least in my opinion. He says, let's put barbed wire up so women and children crossing can be injured, possibly killed. I guess you don't realize what the Statue of Liberty means. Give us you're weak, you're tired, you're poor. Blah, blah, blah. Well, a couple things. Number one is people are dying trying to cross the Rio Grande because they're trying to cross the Rio Grande. So if there is razor wire or barbed wire up, maybe they won't cross the Rio Grande. Maybe that 3-year-old sadly would not have died if, his parents didn't try to cross the Rio Grande. And yeah, I fully well know what the Statue of Liberty means. That also refers to, in my opinion, legal migration and nothing to do with millions of people coming across the southern border. But thank you, 2805. I appreciate the fact that you texted in and you listen. And based on all of the other texts that I'm reading that I haven't read before from 2805, he's quite the hate listener, and thank you for that. 8:29 on Nashville's Morning News. Got to tell you that so many people like me suffer from allergies, which is why I have the phone number for Zero Res memorized. It's 615-535-9376. Zero Res does help keep my carpets insanely clean, which really does help with my allergies, and they can help you as well. Call these folks today, Zero Res at 615-535-9376. They don't use those harsh chemicals, and that means pure safety for your family and your pets as well. And right now, they do have a great deal going on at Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $109, plus you get a free hallway. At 20% off of air duct cleaning as well. Air quality, of course, in your home does play a huge role in the overall health of your family. 615-535-9376. You can also book online, ZeroResNashville.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It is the right way to clean.
$8:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Friday morning, the last day of summer. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, the case of a dog shot and killed in a popular park may not be over. At first, police said they would not be filing charges against the shooter who claimed the unleashed German Shepherd came at him aggressively. But News 2 says yesterday, members of the prosecutor's office alongside police officers toured the scene, and they were told the case is still open. Later today at the White House, President Biden announces a first ever, according to the White House, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and it's going to be run by Vice President Kamala Harris. And elsewhere in Washington, a government shutdown now appears more likely. Only 9 days left before the deadline when the federal government starts running out of money, and Speaker McCarthy sent everyone home for a 4-day weekend. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Watch for at least a partial turnaround from yesterday's stock market retreat. Before the opening bell, Dow futures were 50 points higher. The S&P was set to gain 0.33%. The NASDAQ composite was poised to pick up 0.6. On Thursday, the Dow Jones fell 370 points and closed barely above 34,000. The S&P lost 0.7%. The NASDAQ composite gave up 1.8%. More companies are adopting Tesla's vision for electric vehicle charging, Jaguar and Honda have joined the list of car makers using Tesla's charging technology. Reuters says several states, including Texas, Kentucky, and Washington, plan to back the Tesla charging system as well. Hoping to lure back an older clientele, Olive Garden and Cracker Barrel are working to overcome the slump that was brought on by the pandemic. The heads of both restaurant chains say the 65 and up crowd still is not venturing out to eat as much as younger diners are.
All right, we are 2 minutes into the trading day. Let's see where stocks are. The Dow is down 10, S&P up 9, NASDAQ up 60. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Dan Mandis here with a question for you folks. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask, because some insurance companies will not pay full replacement cost. They'll deduct money for an older roof. Now, this means that the insurance company is depreciating how much they pay for your roof claim. An older roof, they're going to pay you less. Now, that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they're going to pay you full replacement cost, whether you have a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof. They pay for it to be replaced, period. Now, it's that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the absolute best insurance companies around. So call them today at 615-329-8121. Perhaps more importantly, find out what the policy is for your roof if you're not with King & Associates Insurance. 615-329-8121 to get your Royal Review. tkinginsurance.com. 8:37, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Time for the gang of four amigos minus one, but we have a very capable and able-bodied fill-in, except when he's trying to ride out the weather. Ken Weaver is going to be amigo number one. No, you know what? Let's make poor Mason the amigo number one today. Mason Fleming in for Johnny B. Good morning, Mason. How are you?
Riding out that shade all morning, aren't you?
I am, actually.
Goodness gracious.
You got Ken Weaver is amigo number two today. Chris Hand is here as well.
Yeah. What happened with the weather?
Just let him read it. Just let him read it.
You know what? I want you to read that. read the part that I had. This is what I had to read at 5:15 in the morning. Read the part where I crossed it out.
Yeah, apparently none of us proofread it, even me.
No. No. I was not a happy
It's
family.
nice and sunny today, heading into the weekend with a high of 85 and a low of 58 this Friday.
What's wrong with that?
Well, today.
Keep going. Well, yeah, keep going.
Saturday and Sunday are carrying that sun all the way through as well, staying in the mid-80s.
That makes sense to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Why not?
Because it's gobbledygook.
That's weather talk. That's weatherman
That's
talk.
It's not the worst.
Dan is always so prepared. And
Oh,
I remember filling in as a producer on the morning show. And I remember catching grief about my weather reports as well. Believe it or not. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
So what the hell is this? I said, it's the weather.
Yeah.
So what do you want?
Oh my gosh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I got so mad at you.
Yeah.
I really wasn't mad. And I'm not mad at Mason.
He was mad.
That's
and he is
weatherman
mad.
talk. That's how a weatherman talks.
I'm not a weatherman. Clearly.
I'm not
barely a
either.
talk show host. What did you say, Mason?
I said I'm not either.
We can't all be meteorologists like Stefano Di Pietro.
Yeah, meteorologist.
Oh, speaking of meteorologists, we had a great talk earlier about the big Wienermobile.
That's right. The big Wienermobile is coming back, boys.
It's coming back. They called it, what did they call it before, Ken?
Well, they were trying to call it the Frankmobile because they claimed, Kraft claimed,
yes,
that, they wanted to honor the fact that their wieners are 100% beef.
So then I said, well, why didn't they call it the Beefmobile then?
Right.
Why would they call it the Frankmobile?
But apparently enough people got upset about it and said, no, leave it the Wienermobile.
That's exactly right. So they've now changed it back to the Wiener. Now, you know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
Yes.
It's the second most famous car after the Batmobile.
That's right. That's right. And they give you a little whistle, too. But I've lost my sound. Where did my whistle sound go? I've lost my whistle.
Ken regaled the audience earlier with his Wiener
little
mobile whistle.
It's a Wiener whistle.
You got to be careful where you pause there, Mr. Mandis.
That's my bad. I'm sorry. I'm still obsessed over the bad weather report that Mason gave me, that apparently everybody else thinks was fine.
Oh. Yeah, they're going to be in Nashville. The Wienermobile will be in Nashville. We're told by one of our fine Super Talk listeners and viewers on September 28th.
There you go, September 28th.
So a chance to get a little red wiener whistle.
Yeah, and I think they said they're here through October 1st as well. So got a little bit of time to get.
Have you ever been inside the Wienermobile?
Yes.
I have too. I actually went inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like a fire truck in there? What's the deal?
I've never been in a fire truck.
You've never been in a fire truck?
No. Have you? Well, obviously you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in a fire truck.
Mason, I've been in a fire truck as well.
You know what? All three of you.
How have you never been in a fire truck?
I've never been in the back of a cop car either. What's your point?
I've done that.
Of course you have.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Have you really?
Yes.
What happened? Wait, now we got to hear this. So what is it something you're comfortable?
I just do the news, boys.
I just do the news, boys.
Are you doing talk about it, Ken?
Yeah, nothing happened. I mean, it was just
I don't know,
one
you're in
of
the
those
back of a cop
deals
car
where the officers had to sort things out. They had to separate people, and a bunch of people were separated and given a talking to, and then everything was fine.
It was just a little timeout.
Yeah, just a little bit of timeout.
in the back of a cop car.
Well, that's where actually I appreciate that because that kept everybody from doing something stupid.
Okay, very good. Chris, you spent some time in the back of a cop car?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Got in trouble.
What'd you do?
I was in my teenage years. I got in trouble.
Yeah.
Got in troubles. So.
Yeah. What'd you do? He didn't want.
I said sorry and I moved on.
Okay, fine. Mason, have you ever been in the back of a cop car?
I have, but not for being in trouble or anything. It was just.
It was like, don't let this happen to you.
Yeah, basically, it was one of those. We had an event at our high school showing us basically like we had a mock trial thing going down, and they had a cop car set out in the front of the school and let people sit in the back and take pictures like we were being arrested or something like that. It was a very, very weird event.
Bizarre.
I know, right?
I had a field trip in high school where they took us to a prison. They did like the MTV Scared Straight on us.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You ended up in the back of a cop car anyway. It clearly didn't work.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I just haven't lived enough. I've never.
What are you doing this weekend?
I can guarantee you, I'm not going to be in the back of a cop car.
All right.
I plan on not
Anything's
leaving
possible.
the house this weekend. Actually,
You're not leaving the house at all?
No, it's been a rough week. I've already told Amy that we're not leaving the house.
Not going anywhere, are you?
Nope.
Not even to the Dollar General store where everybody recognizes you.
Oh, would you stop?
Well, I mean, you always go. There's always a reason to go to the Dollar General store. So you got to pick something up.
Did I tell? I know we had the conversation off the air. So I was having a bad day a couple of weeks ago. Not going to talk about why. So you know what Amy said? She says, Dan, if you'd like, we can go to the Dollar General store because you always get recognized there and it makes you feel good. Like, oh my gosh, really? Although it is bizarre. Like, have you started, like, every time I go to the Dollar General, it's weird. I'll go in there and I get recognized. And I don't know why.
Well, people,
we obviously need to do like remote broadcasts from the Dollar General.
Live from the DG.
Live from the DG. That's exactly.
I like those spiced peanuts they sell. They got great spiced peanuts at the Dollar General store.
Okay.
You can get chili lime or just straight up chili. Good burn.
Now,
real good burn.
Now, so this is what's funny now. People are sending super text messages in and reminding me of other places where, this sounds very ego-driven, where people have said hi to me and recognized me.
Yeah.
One guy, the Red Robin, another person bringing up the time they saw me at Kroger. I mean,
was the Red Robin the time they got caught not holding the door
yes!
open?
That's 5413. Totally got caught not holding the door for my wife.
Where you at, Amy?
And then Amy actually, she thought that was funny as all get out that I got totally called out on that.
Was that the one in the borough?
No, that was the one in Mount Juliet.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The one time I'm not a gentleman, and there's somebody there, to catch me not being a gentleman.
Yeah.
But listen, I was running. Is there anything wrong with this? I was running to the front desk thing so that I could get my name in front of all the other people that are running in. I knocked over a couple of old ladies too.
Yeah, you didn't.
Thankfully, 5413 didn't see that.
You pulled a George Costanza.
That's exactly right. Chris, anything wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I would do it, but me and my wife have too many kids, so we're playing zone defense in the parking lot. We can't. If we're not on man-to-man coverage right now, we play the zone.
I know what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're playing defense. Mandis is playing offense against old ladies in the line.
Shut up, Mason. Let's talk about your weather report.
That Red Robin, it gets packed, dude. I mean, the wait time can be like 45 minutes sometimes.
By the way, I was just kidding when I said that I knocked over a couple of old ladies. I really doesn't. Do you ever do anything to intentionally annoy your wife, Ken or Chris?
Never.
Yeah.
I annoy her naturally.
Naturally? Okay. Actually, I do too. Ken?
Yeah, I like to run jokes into the ground.
Oh, I do
jokes
that.
that usually I'm the only one who think are funny.
So, do you know what joke we're running into the ground at my house?
What's that?
The Mike Pence. I don't know. And it's gotten to the point where even my 1-year-old will walk around and go, I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. That is so funny. See, I like that. Actually, that's very funny. I do that. You know what I do?
What's that?
Have I ever said this, Ken? What I do when I walk around the house and I pretend to be like an old man? Because I'm older than everybody else. I'm older than Amy, who's about to be... 39.
Yeah.
And I'm 55. So my favorite thing to do, well, there's two things. Number one is I talk like an old man.
Yeah.
So I'll say, like Tim Burchett was on there earlier and he kept saying dadgummit.
Yeah, dadgummit.
the hell's going on in this house? And I do that, and I don't know why I do that. I do it.
Well,
and
you like it.
And
it gets a reaction out of Riker and Amy.
Sadly, it doesn't anymore. They just roll their eyes at this point.
Yeah.
The only thing that gets a reaction now, and I've talked about this before, Amy's face palming right now. I love you, honey. When I purr at her, you ever purr at your wife?
No. I feel uncomfortable.
I do it. It's just fun, and she hates that.
So instead of intentionally being annoying, you should flip the script and intentionally be a hero. Have you seen the videos on Instagram?
No.
So husbands will walk around the house and do things like unplug the HDMI cable from the TV. Take a battery out of the thermostat.
Yeah.
So that way they have to say, honey, what? Can you help me fix the TV? And you're
Why
like,
is this not working?
Yeah, the air conditioner's not working.
Let me figure this out for you.
Yeah, the problem is I would pull out the HDMI cable and then I wouldn't remember how to put the damn thing back.
We'll call Geek Squad.
No, you know what? I hate to say this, but in my house, Amy does a lot of really incredible, she puts up ceiling fans and stuff.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
She built your deck.
She did. Well, she helped. We ran out of time. So, but yeah, I mean, she and I built the deck together. You know what I found out with the whole deck building experience?
Yeah.
Is that I'm really good at breaking things and taking it apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was really good at putting stuff back together again.
Right.
So, pulling up the boards and all that, prying up the boards and all that kind of stuff. I did that for days and weeks in the blistering.
That's not true.
What was that?
Sorry, I'm throwing sound bites in there. I'm trying to be adding to the conversation.
Joe Biden was throwing shade at you there, Brother Dan.
Is that you want to play that again, Mason? You want to take another crack at that because
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true.
Okay, I get it now. Chris, that's what I've been having to deal with all day long with Mason. You ever just go rogue like that and just decide to throw in sound bites just for no reason at all?
I literally went rogue the first time I produced for you. I remember you yelling at me for going rogue.
Apparently, I have just blocked out all instances of Chris producing. What did you do?
I even went in there to Mason. I said, just so you know, the first time I produced the morning show was less than a year ago.
Yeah,
and
that's
I was like,
true.
now I have my own show, so there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't let these weather reports get you down.
I don't know if I don't think I should be getting my own show, though. I don't think that's a thing.
Well, there's no openings, so.
Yeah. No openings right now, Brother Mason.
You keep it up, Chris Hand.
You're like, what do you think about 9 to 12?
I think Brother Mason ought to be our weather guy. Yeah,
sure.
He can tell us what Wednesday's going to be carrying in.
Maybe a cloud, maybe some sun.
I didn't want to look at the super text line. Chris, what's coming up after this?
What's wrong with the super text line? We love the super text line.
Has it been painfully obvious, Ken? Mason, keep your mouth shut. Ken, has it been painfully obvious that I overslept today? So a number of things happened today. Number one is I woke up, Ken Weaver, you know how big of a disaster this is. I woke up at 1:37 this morning.
Yeah, that's an hour and a half after you usually wake up.
Yes, it is. And then I pulled a bunch of audio that I thought I'd pulled, which I actually didn't pull.
That's like me losing my Wienermobile whistle.
Yes.
But I found it.
That's a big tragedy.
I found it.
All joking aside, Mason, great job today. Seriously.
I appreciate it.
That's the way to go, Brother Mason. Just for that, you get this. A Wienermobile whistle.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
I do appreciate it.
It's high praise from Ken Weaver.
It really is.
I've never gotten a Wiener
You know what?
Mobile
I've
whistle
never
from
gotten
Ken.
a Wiener whistle either. A Wiener whistle.
Oh, there you go, boys.
Thank you. Chris, what's coming up after 9?
Chris Christie was called a grifter by Trump in a surprising plot twist. In a surprising plot twist. I'm really enjoying Chris Christie these days.
Are you?
The entertainment value is so
He
high.
is. I mean,
the entertainment value is so high.
Mm-hmm.
John Kirby on the Ukraine exit strategy.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, there isn't one. Joe Biden.
There's also no end to the funding, but whatever.
Joe Biden goes on again in front of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, forgets that they're Hispanic, talks about beating Big Pharma, forgets that he shills boosters, and we're going to go in on all that.
All right, very good. If you heard the audio real quick of the pilot for that F-35 I need some audio. Real quickly. The pilot for the F-35 calling 911 after he parachuted out.
I saw that, yeah.
Have you heard this?
I haven't heard the full thing.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. This is the pilot from the F-35.
47. So we had a military jet crash. I'm the pilot. We need to get rescue rolling. I'm not sure where the airplane is. It would have crash landed somewhere. I ejected.
Can you imagine? I'm not sure where the airplane is.
He called 911.
I understand, sir.
Yeah, he called 911. This is the dispatcher.
Okay. I understand, sir. Okay, just to confirm, how many people are hurt?
Well, I'm the only one. I'm not sure about my
Okay.
Yeah, not sure where the airplane is.
I like how she goes, okay, I understand, sir. It's like, no, you don't.
You don't. There's a plane flying and nobody knows where it is.
You've never gotten a call like this. Oh, okay, I understand.
So the military has to call the police.
Yeah, he had to call 911. Which is there not like a bat phone number that you would call? Now that I realized, you would think that there'd be like some SATCOM phone or something that they would call in case they lose an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I worked in hip hop and Obama was trying to get elected, he called the program director of the radio station. It shows up as just like 4 digits.
Interesting.
So like I would assume that you would have like a secret number to call like that.
Yeah. You would think, but apparently he had to call 911. And by the way, that was part of a 4-minute 911 phone call, and apparently the pilot got a little frustrated because the dispatcher wasn't quite getting what was going on.
Well, when they finally found it, they let everybody know.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Ken. Feel free to leave the whistle at home on Monday. Just kidding. 8:53. Oh, I think I've hurt Ken's. Did I hurt Ken's feelings?
No, not at all.
Okay, very good.
Go ahead and do your commercial, Brother Dan.
Now I've made it weird.
Ken's sitting there thinking, I called Dan this morning. I wake him up after he oversleeps, and he's in here making fun of my whistle.
Yeah. I think, Dan,
his wiener whistle.
You should let me go home early since you woke up late.
Mark Spain Real Estate.
That got the show going.
All right, I got to get through this. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Sell your home hassle-free. Dan Mandis here. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years. Over 44,000 satisfied clients have trusted Mark Spain Real Estate to sell their homes when starting their next phase in life. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate has nearly 10,000 five-star reviews, making them the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. And as the most experienced real estate team, you can trust them to sell your home quickly and for the most money. You can trust Mark Spain Real Estate. This is hassle-free selling, so call them today, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. You can find them online at markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.